Chapter 121 Walk in a Straight Line. I see, don't worry, at least I haven't sensed an invincible character on this island, Milo said. Oh, since you said that, then I'm at ease. Enel chose a random direction. Milo said to Carter, come with me for a while. Meow. Yes, but you have to help me find a place to buy fish. Although I don't know what Carter is talking about, I can guess that it is inseparable. Basically, every 3 sentences he speaks will bring fish. Enel came to the hill and looked at the sea, the tides ebb and flow, and the clouds were rolling. The place where the sea and the sky communicate is hazy. Before you know it, it's been so long. It has been more than a year since Wenris died and he went to sea. He has also experienced a lot, from an unknown mercenary to a big pirate with a bounty of more than 100 million. His influence has reached a point that the world government cannot ignore. No matter how low-key it is, it cannot hide its potential threat to the world government. The first time a bounty was offered, the bounty was as high as 150 million Bailey, which fully demonstrated the importance the Navy attached to him. He is already not weak, with the top-level combat power of a major general, and the ability to fly. Even an ordinary lieutenant general can't help him. This is generally not a big problem in the first half of the Great Route as long as it is not too deadly. However, this strength is not enough, far from enough. Garp smashed his dragon scale with a senbei, and the golden lion cut off his arm with ease. There are many monsters in the sea. The navy that has officially become an enemy has many people who can pose a deadly threat to Enel. Warring states, Zephyr, Carp, Aokiji, Kiwi, Red Dog, Peach Rabbit, T-Dolphin. Plus those big pirates in the New World. Enel always had a sense of crisis in his heart, and those people were like dark clouds shrouded in the sky above him. Maybe it's because he thinks too much. The world is so big, if it's not deliberate, the chance of encountering it is actually not big. But Enel is a bit persecutory paranoid. More importantly, his face is black. That time, the Golden Lion might have had a little curiosity about this empty island that appeared out of thin air. But Carp was totally unlucky that time. Enel has decided that he will temporarily disappear for a while after the completion of the empty island, so let's find an uninhabited island to retreat and do penance. Wait for the strength to be stronger before coming out. When Luffy and the others reached the peaks of Whiskey in the original book, these hills were already full of graves, and they looked like cacti from a distance. The hills are still green grass. Enel lay on the ground looking at the blue sky. The white clouds are long, and the sun is very comfortable on the face. The smell of grass reached his nostrils through the air, and he fell asleep. Enel is almost a nocturnal creature, always sleepy during the day. When he opened his eyes again, a red sun rose from the sea, covering the sky and the sea. The east is rendered a magnificent red, as if oozing blood. Damn, have you slept for so long? Enel looked at the recording pointer and had already recorded the magnetic force of the Whiskey Peak. Well, time to set sail. By the way, where should we gather? It seems to only say that it is the seaside, without specifying the specific location. It's okay to go to the beach first. The buildings on Whiskey Peak are similar, and Enel, who has not memorized the walking route attentively, decided to take the shortest route. Boom, boom, boom. Sounds like explosions continued, and buildings collapsed. Debris was scattered all over the place, mixed with several corpses. What's the matter? Again, how many houses is this already? Someone asked. It is said that there are pirates making trouble. Ha, stop kidding. What pirates dare to make trouble here? Hundreds of bounty hunters have gathered here. The town is now much larger than the original, and the number of people is several times larger. Perhaps the reason is that it has not been integrated by the Baroque Chinese society. It's true, that big pirate with a bounty of 150 million Bailey, the black coffin Enel. The person beside him reminded him. Damn it, someone ran out of the rubble. The smoke gradually dissipated, revealing a figure. Why attack us? A bounty hunter held a knife, but it didn't give him any sense of security. Trembling all over, he was terrified. Ah, attack you. I don't have this interest, it's just that you are blocking the way. Anil said casually. Bastard, stop joking. Another person rushed up. Boom. A gunshot rang out, and his forehead bloomed like a flower. Anil shot him down. Don't doubt the accuracy of this bullet, this is a matter of course, as a supernova with a bounty of over 100 million, how could Anil not be able to do even this trivial thing? Of course, the most important thing is that he hit the opponent with the gun on the forehead. If it doesn't hit, it's really not Anil's fault. Carter, get up. Time to find Anil. Milo tugged at Carter's beard. The two of them spent the night on a rooftop. Suddenly, Milo sensed something was wrong. Boom. There was another loud bang, and the house where Milo was sitting collapsed. Damn it, this bastard. Milo had realized what had happened, and got up from under the bricks, clutching his head. Yo, isn't this Milo? Ah ha ha, what a coincidence, I found you so quickly. Anil greeted. The record pointer is ready, let's get ready to sail. Bastard, what are you doing? Milo growled. Huh. I asked why you demolished the house. Didn't we agree to meet at the beach? Because the road here is tortuous and too complicated, so I decided to go straight. Anil said in a natural tone. Milo looked at the straight that stretched all the way to the hill behind him and nodded. That's really a good idea, that's no wonder. Anil likes to walk in a straight line. If it was a civilian, he might pay a little more attention. But here, no one is a decent guy. Either pirates or bounty hunters, or businessmen linked to the dark world, the real civilians have disappeared. Before being offered a reward, he restrained himself. In order to avoid being labeled as a lawbreaker, he still behaves as much as possible, trying not to cause any commotion. Now that he's on a bounty, it doesn't matter how you like to come. As for the issue of whereabouts being exposed, this is inevitable. The Navy's intelligence system is very developed and can always grasp his general whereabouts. But the exact location is a bit difficult. And this can only reveal the route he chose. As for trying to speculate on Anil's next itinerary, it is not reliable at all. Anil's way of sailing is completely different from that of ordinary people. If you use the sailing time of ordinary ships to guess him, it will only be in vain. In the first half of the Great Route, there were not many pirates with a bounty of 150 million Bailey, but there were not many. Anil is just one of such a star-studded group of pirates. The Navy has not taken it seriously enough that it will waste a lot of troops to deal with it. Chapter 122 Small Garden. Human vitality can enhance the basic quality of Anil's body. The vitality of the animal can increase in power after the dragon is transformed. Between these two life forces, Anil is obviously more interested in the former. Because the strength brought by improving physical fitness has always existed, and the increase after dragon transformation cannot be reflected without transformation. The former is undoubtedly more useful when he encounters an unexpected situation that catches him off guard. For example, when facing the dark fruit, if you are caught by the opponent, you will fall into the dilemma of being unable to transform. The dark fruit can take away the power of his dragon transformation, but it cannot take away the power of his own body that has been enhanced. If the basic quality of the body is not improved, then the humanoid state will become his weakness. Unless he maintains the dragon's stance, it is possible to let others take advantage of it. What Anil was after was permanent power, not temporary bursts. What he dreamed of was an overwhelming force that was invulnerable no matter when, where, or under any circumstance. Life force is graded. Under the same body size, the stronger the creature, the higher the quality of life force. In general, the larger the creature, the more vitality it contains. Anil roughly divided the quality of life force into several different grades according to the rank of the Navy. The life force absorbed by Anil will be automatically converted into the same quality as him. There is a lot of loss in the process of transforming from low-level life energy to high-level life energy. Because he hasn't absorbed life energy higher than him, he doesn't know how the downgrade transformation will be. Anil's current life energy is already in the upper reaches of the Lieutenant General. The life energy of ordinary people has a very weak effect on him, and his own efficiency in absorbing the life energy contained in the corpse is not high, not even 1%. This less than 1% of the vitality is being transformed and lost. This has caused his strength to grow quite slowly. Sailing according to the record needle, Enel and their next stop is the small garden. In the Great Voyage, the islands are relatively isolated because of the difficulty of navigation. This has resulted in an extreme imbalance in the rate of development. Some islands are still in primitive times, while others have developed extremely high civilizations. The small garden is an example of this extreme. The actual situation of the small garden is not as lovely as its name. It is an ancient island. It was overgrown with ferns, and there lived creatures that should have gone extinct long ago, dinosaurs. However, the overlord of the island is not this prehistoric behemoth, but two outsiders, the two captains of the former giant soldier pirates, the soldiers of Elbath village, Blue Demon, Tori and Red Demon, Brokey. The area of this island is not small, but compared to the two giants, it is like a small garden. Hence the name. Enel is very interested in these two giant humans. They should be able to provide him with a lot of life energy. But considering that the other party had a bounty of 100 million as early as 85 years ago, and these 85 years were spent in daily battles, its true combat power is difficult to determine. In the original work, they were easily settled by Mr. 3 and Mr. 5 sneak attacks, and it seems that the combat power is not strong. But when he finally sent Luffy and the others a ride, the strength he showed was shocking. That move to dominate the country, even cut open the sea, and pierced through the huge goldfish like an island with one blow. If hit by that kind of attack, even Enel's strong defense and tenacious vitality could be life-threatening. For Enel, they are extremely dangerous prey and must be cautious. If it was a head-to-head battle, Enel would definitely not be their opponent. I am afraid that even the last one is enough. Fortunately, the brains of these two people don't seem to know how to work around. They have been fighting for 85 years to determine the outcome. Each time they were exhausted and fell to the ground. This gave Enel an opportunity. The Ode was parked in the sea 4 kilometers from the island. Because Milo said he sensed deadly danger on the island, he didn't want to get close. In the virgin forest, there are many dangers. The biggest danger may not be large beasts, but some difficult-to-detect creatures. Weak and inconspicuous, but deadly. The danger is not from the dinosaurs, but from a small voice, Milo said to Enel. This reminded him suddenly that Nami in the original book was bitten by a bug and became seriously ill. If Wei Wei hadn't found Drum Island with her memory, she might have died. Thinking of this, Enel pulled the boat back another 2 kilometers. There was no doctor on their ship, and no one knew the direction of Drum Island. If someone gets sick, it basically spells the end of his life. The someone here refers specifically to Milo, and these little bugs pose no threat to Enel. Is our next stop really that shitty place? Milo asked. Yes, and the magnetic force of that island, it takes a year to keep the recording pointer. 1 year. Milo's face darkened. Don't worry, we already knew this would happen, so didn't we prepare a permanent pointer to Anabaston in advance? Enel said. Huh, are you ready? Of course, haven't I always acted on the back of my mind? I already have information about some of these islands in advance about the route we're going to take. Only then did Milo realize that Enel seemed to have already thought of a plan to deal with some life and death matters. Including the diving cabin in the last encounter with Carp, the record pointer on the Great Waterway, the previous practice in the North Sea with a relatively small storm, and now this time around the small garden, the permanent pointer. Since we can go around, why are we still here? Milo wondered. I have another purpose. You should be able to sense that there are 2 very strong guys on the island. Well, yes. It doesn't feel much worse than you. Milo looked solemn. What you can perceive is the strength of breath. There is no way to predict the technical things such as combat awareness and taijutsu moves. Because of his scum-like fighting skills, the real combat power that Enel can display is a big class lower than his physical quality. His body is comparable to that of an upper-level lieutenant general, and he really only has the level of a top major general. This is because Dragon Scale has a strong defense, otherwise his combat power would be even lower. After Shiki's incident, the devil fruit he got from Flamia last time was used by him to improve his resilience. Otherwise, his arms wouldn't be able to heal so fast at that time. Therefore, the combat power he showed has not changed significantly. Still at the top level of Major General. Just more resistant. Chapter 123 Battle of Giants. The breath of an ordinary giant family is definitely stronger than that of an ordinary human being. Their massive size naturally gives them great strength. However, in the case of the same breath on both sides, the giants are generally weaker than humans. The huge size brings inconvenience to movement, and the flexibility will decrease a lot. They have terrifying raw power, but are lacking in skill. They are basically at a disadvantage in the fight against the real human powerhouses. It is even possible to be killed in seconds. The current situation is that they have the same breath. Anal is small and flexible, but there are no moves to improve his attack power. Dongli and Brokey have a very high fighting awareness, fighting skills, and have mastered powerful tricks such as hegemony, but their huge size makes their movement relatively slow. When both sides are ready to go head-to-head, they should be stronger than Enel. People in the pirate world can still cut mosquitoes with a knife. Of course Enel wouldn't rush head-on in a foolish way. He was just going to pick up heads, not to challenge. There was no need to be upright. As for the so-called strong heart, go to hell. Victory that can be won is king. No matter how despicable and shameless, when you become a winner, when you are qualified enough to define what is right, then you can use these means can be said to be heroic. Being ugly is also praised as being different. Others will only admire and admire. Praise the winner, praise the strong, this is the mainstream of the world. As for those who fail, they get only temporary sympathy, and then they are gradually forgotten. Giants. What are you doing with them? Milo asked. He also didn't know Enel's abilities very well. This killing and pillaging enhances his abilities, which Enel has never revealed to anyone. Only Carter was vaguely aware of it. Great game, isn't it? Are you sure you can win? Milo still knew how bad Enel's fighting consciousness was. He was not very optimistic. I'm just a sneak attack, do you know that? I'll do it after they both lose. In terms of attack power, the full-strength claw of Enel's full dragon transformation is comparable to that of a mid-level lieutenant general with domineering power. Attack. Sneak attack. Milo recalled the last time Enel took them to a night raid on the Southampton military camp, and his expression clearly revealed distrust. You guys are here waiting for me to come back. It is estimated that it will be almost one day. Enel spread his wings and flew towards the small garden. It has just rained here and the soil is wet. The earthy scent is mixed with the fragrance of plants. The jungle was quiet and filled with the same atmosphere. Enel stepped forward and walked inside, leaving a trail of footprints. A tiger appeared behind him and lunged at him, but screamed in the air. A bloody mouth bit it. This is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. He swallowed the tiger in 3 or 2 strokes. Then it set its sights on Enel. Sensing the movement behind him, Enel looked back and saw a brown dinosaur staring at him drooling. Get out of here. Enel glared at it, but did not use Longway, otherwise it would be noticed by Dongli and Brokey. Even so, this dinosaur still sensed a terrifying aura, and the senses of animals are usually very keen. Enel seemed to suddenly become some kind of wild beast, which reminded it of how it felt when it was a child facing its father. Although the dragon is a legendary beast, it seems that it can also be classified as a reptile. The prototype of the Western dragon is a lizard, and the prototype of the Oriental dragon is a snake, which is a little more parts than ordinary real creatures. And the original meaning of dinosaurs is terrifying lizards. However, compared to the phantom beasts like dragons, they can be regarded as cute. As a result, Enel had a little fanboy. The expression of this dinosaur should be more respectful and more respectful, like a well-behaved son. He had wanted to ride it for a walk in the forest, but there was no time. Because the volcano in the middle erupted, which was the signal for the war between Dongli and Brokey. The two of them agreed that every eruption of the middle volcano would be the beginning of their battle. After sending the Tyrannosaurus Rex, Anal galloped towards the middle of the island. Boom! The magma rose into the sky, and the scorching air waves rose. The smell of sulfur filled the air, and the ash was carried into the air by the upward airflow. Volcano's business is like a horn, and the two behemoths fought with weapons. Dongli. Brokey. They screamed and collided. The air trembled, the ground shook, and the surrounding trees fell in circles. Milo felt their breath suddenly rise a lot. Humans are different from animals in that they can restrain their own momentum, and sometimes the strength or weakness perceived by seeing, hearing, and color may not be accurate. He couldn't help but feel a little worried about Aenir, who usually couldn't deal with people whose physique was on the same level as him. Boom! Brokey blocked Tori's greatsword with his shield. Metal clanging. Anal, who was watching the battle from a tree, felt the waves of air blowing in his face, and he felt that he might have come back without success this time. Tori and Brokey are really strong. How could the two leaders who were revered by countless Elbaf warriors be weak? God knows how they were settled by the two weak chickens Mr. 3 and Mr. 5 in the original book. In short, Enel did not have the confidence to deal with any of them. The fighting continues, and the devastation continues to expand. The animals and plants in the small garden are also not easy. It is really unexpected that there is such a good ecology after being harmed by these two guys for so long. In the original book, they faced each other in 73,467 battles, with no winners or losers. They had to fight twice a day on average, indicating that their battles did not last long. Anal watched for a long time, and Dongli and Brokey finally stopped. Gahahahaha. Crack clap clap clap. It's a dead end again. Brokey. I'll definitely win next time. Dongli. The two of them lay on the ground, looking exhausted. But the voice was full of anger. Enel didn't make a move, because both Dongli and Brokey still had the strength to fight again. The battle between the two of them didn't kill them, they almost ended, otherwise how could they have fought for so many years without a result? And it's an average of 2 games a day. According to their physical strength, death battles are not a problem day and night. At least Anal didn't see them use the big move, hegemony. If you really want to decide the winner, then just like Akainu and Aokiji, even if the strength is similar, there will always be a result. One can tell the difference. Chapter 124 Retreat. Dongli. Brokey said suddenly. Well, you noticed it too. Dongli replied. How can such obvious malice not be felt? That feeling of being targeted by a deadly beast. There is no animal on this island that would make us feel that way. Are there any guests here? It doesn't seem to be holding goodwill. Ha 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 ha. Dongli suddenly laughed. They are the warriors of Elbaf village, never afraid of any challenge. Crack clap clap clap, have you seen enough? The guy hiding in the dark, come out if you want to fight, we will accompany you. Brokey shouted. Huh, was it discovered? Enel muttered. How come you're always being discovered when you get close? It was like this when you wanted to sneak up on Morrow. Anal jumped out of the tree and stood up. Hey, how did you find me? I've been hiding well. Who can't feel the obvious malice? Dongli said. Ah, is my malice obvious? How can I have the same answer as Morrow? In the original book, the two big men clearly didn't notice Mr. 3, so how could I be discovered? Anal muttered in his heart, doubt. In fact, this is because his breath is too huge, coupled with the unconscious spillage of dark energy, it will be very obvious once he is malicious. Anyone with a little sense of fighting can detect such a huge evil thought. Enel developed the dark ability of concealment, and has always only paid attention to concealment. He had absolutely no idea what the breath was about. He all pursues the power of power, and he has not learned how to control this power, so his control of darkness is not very good. He couldn't completely restrain his own momentum and dark power. Dongli noticed that Aenil's malicious dissipated, his face was still not very good, and asked, little devil, what's the matter with you? You all said that you have already sensed my maliciousness, so what else can I do? Anal rolled his eyes. Of course I will kill you. Having said that, he has no such thoughts anymore. Dongli and Brokey are obviously not easy to mess with, and they still have the power to fight again. If they really start fighting, he might be killed. The benefits are out of proportion to the risks, and Enel certainly wouldn't make such a deal. Crack clap clap clap, kill us. Brokey laughed. Why, we seem to be meeting for the first time. Because you are strong. Anel smiled. What he meant was that Dongli and Brokey were strong enough to provide him with a lot of vitality. Gahahaha, are we strong? Of course, we are the strongest warriors in Elbath village. Tori clearly misunderstood what Anel meant. He mistakenly thought that because he was powerful, he was worth killing. He also regarded Enel as the type of person who would challenge the strong everywhere for the fun of battle. Crack clap clap, do you want to come and have a fight with us? Blot the name of Elbath's strongest warrior. Brokey clenched his weapon and looked at Enel. The huge axe, gleaming in the sun, shone on Enel's face. A drop of cold sweat dripped from Enel's forehead. Forget it, I'm not in the mood to fight anymore. Let's talk about it later, goodbye. Will you stay for a while? I'll treat you to barbecue. Giraffe tastes very good. Dongli was very enthusiastic, and he regarded Anel as a warrior who advocated force. No, my partner is still waiting for me. It's too dangerous for him here, so it's still at sea. Enel's wings fluttered, and he flew back in the direction he came from. Looking at Dongli, who was so forthright and hospitable, Anel suddenly felt a little guilty for his decision to attack them. Rocky, I said the record pointer's okay. Who knows? That kid is not weak. There should be a way. Boom! The volcano in the middle erupted again. Tori and Brokey looked at each other, then swung their weapons and fought again. Enel returned to the eulogy. Who Tilda scared me to death, those two guys are so powerful. Wow, ha ha ha, have you ever succeeded in a sneak attack? Milo burst out laughing. Cut, what's so good about sneak attack? I won't do that kind of stealing. The heart of a strong man can't be reflected. It's the kingly way to crush the past. Anel put his arms around his chest, the attitude of looking down at the world. Carter stared at Anel with small eyes, clearly saying, I believe you are strange. Milo said, you dare say it's not because there is no chance of success at all. Enel. Well, it looks like he's really not fit to be an assassin. Berserker is his style. But since we have determined that we cannot kill those two giants, there is no need for us to stay here. Let's move on to the next destination. That Anabaston called the Kingdom of Sand. Anya took out the record pointer. The Kingdom of Sand. Well, it's a country of sand because the whole country is located in a huge desert that stretches as far as the eye can see. Desert. What is that? Milo was confused. Deserts refer to barren areas where the ground is completely covered by sand, with very few plants, little rain, and dry air. The living conditions are very harsh, and there are only prosperous towns in some oases. It's a place with a lot of sand, right? Milo said succinctly. As a person who lives on an island, he can't imagine what a desert is like. What kind of cultural environment and social style there will be there, Miro is very curious. An island made entirely of sand came to his mind. Is it possible that Sand Island really exists? Didn't the wind blow it away? Milo asked. Enel didn't know how to answer, and Milo's lack of common sense made him speechless. This is not just Milo alone, but the normal state of the vast majority of people in the pirate world. They really know very little about the outside world. When Enel first went out to sea and met such a person, he felt strange. It was only later that he gradually got used to the situation. Perhaps it is because of this that pirates have such a high status in this world. It has even become the dream of many young people. What they long for is not the pirates themselves, but the yearning for this familiar and unfamiliar world. The sea is so mysterious in their eyes, and the distance is so beautiful in their hearts. Pirates are free. What kind of scene did the man called One Piece see? So young people rush to the sea, with the pursuit of treasure and adventure. Until they are oppressed by reality and intimidated by all the ordeals at sea. Lost the blood, lost the heart to pursue the dream. In the end, it will be reduced to a pirate in the traditional sense. Killing, burning and looting, in pursuit of wealth. Do nothing, just get by. Chapter 125 Anabaston. There's a situation ahead, Milo said. Enel sat up from the deck. Carter bit a bunch of cod. Boom! A behemoth emerged from the sea. Milo was stunned. Enel also looked at Carter in surprise. The huge creature that emerged from the sea was a white cat with scales on its abdomen. Not one of your kind? Milo asked. It's so big, will you be able to grow a cat this big in the future? Enel was curious. Carter's face was full of disdain. This cat is not that low-level breed. Saying that, it jumped into the sea, submerged and accelerated upwards. Relying on inertia, he rushed into the air and knocked over the sea beast that was standing in front of the eulogy. The sea beast was hit hard on the head and fell back straight. Only then did Milo and Enel clearly see its lower body. It doesn't look like an ordinary cat like Carter. Its upper body is a cat, and its lower body is a fish. This is the sea cat. Enel suddenly remembered that Luffy and the others seemed to have encountered this kind of creature. In Anabaston, the sea cat is a sacred animal. Seeing the sea cat means that they are about to reach Anabaston. Similar to the sea cat, the upper body is a beast, and the lower body is a fish. That is the normal form of a sea beast. Carter's appearance is definitely an outlier among sea beasts. Look, don't confuse me with this hellfish cat. Carter returned to the boat with a proud look. Carter's size can be said to be a miniature among sea beasts, but his combat power is really not covered. In other words, it is more suitable for combat because of its small size. A huge power is condensed in that body. If ordinary sea beasts are compared to giants, Carter is the strongest among human beings. The smoke is vast, the sea and the sky are blue. A yellow line appeared in the distance. That is the kingdom of Sand Anabaston. Anabaston, a peaceful country known as a great civilization, has hardly had any major wars in the past 800 years because of the generosity and benevolence of its rulers. Of course, this also has to do with the identity of the country's royal family. Anabaston has a special status among the countries that join the world government, because the ruler here is a descendant of one of the 20 kings who established the world government. They have the blood of the Creator. This ancient kingdom exists quietly in a desolate desert. Here, the land is sparsely populated and there are many oases. Although it is a large country with a vast territory, it is not rich. Cruel nature has always threatened people's lives, and the relentless wind and sand destroys lives and erodes buildings. But the people who live here do not give in. They survive the wind and sand, and survive the heat and cold. This country, in the midst of desolation and death, gave birth to a splendid civilization. Life is like this, small and humble, great and dazzling. For 800 years, countless truths have been buried under the cover-up of the world government. And in this windy world, there is a corner of the unspeakable truth hidden. The coastline bends and loops like a serpent. The wind and sand are rising, and the yellow sand in the sky obscures the sight. The town of the port seemed to be covered with a layer of gauze. There's sand everywhere, it's amazing. It's really a world of sand. Milo looked left, and then again. Like a curious baby, his face and head were wrapped in gauze, like an Indian Assam. I don't know if there is any fish for sale here. The first thing Carter does whenever he goes to a place is to taste the fish there. It rarely put down the can of fish in his hand. Because the sand is all over the sky, it tried to eat just now, and it ended up with a mouth full of sand. Enel wore a pair of wide sunglasses, covering half of his face. Then let's just disperse, it's the old rules, gather by the coast. No, Milo, you'll come to me. Enel thought that the king of Anabaston was also a member of the Draconians by blood. Although he gave up the right to move to Mary Joa, he still has inextricable ties with Mary Joa. He didn't think such a historic power would be as simple as it seemed. Why did the Neferutari family choose to stay here? Why did the members of the Tianlong people who tried their best to hide the truth of history leave the historical text here? In the desert of Han Hao, is there really the Pluto, one of the 3 ancient weapons, hidden? What are you guarding? What are you waiting for? Or what are you looking for? The king of 800 years ago, one of the founders of the world government, couldn't possibly be an innocent man like Don Quixote Huoming, Ming Ji's father. There must be some reason for him to do so. If it is just nostalgia for the homeland, then there is no need to make a move that is like rebellion among the Tianlong people by leaving the historical text. At this stage, Anil doesn't want to provoke a magical creature like the Draco. Being able to maintain and rule for 800 years is obviously not a good thing, and it is impossible for all of them to be the pig-like existences that have already appeared in the original work. Even the Neferutari family, who had only blood and no identification, did not want to provoke them. Although he was a little curious about the historical text, he also wanted to see the true face of ancient weapons. But it's obviously not a good idea to slam your fists into the Arobana palace just out of curiosity. He still doesn't want to be missed by the Admiral of the Navy, and he doesn't want to be chased around the world by CP0. It is better to stay away from historical texts and ancient weapons that will touch the sensitive nerves of the world government. Tianlong people can also not provoke them if they don't provoke them. The best policy is to avoid them far away. If the strength is not strong enough to pretend to be forced, then it is called a fool. In front of the general, even the strength of escaping life is still hanging on the Tianlong people. If it is not Luffy's protagonist halo, which is so strong that it is almost visible to the naked eye, he is basically dead. Even Luffy survived with the help of Rayleigh and Bartholomew Bear. When the strength is enough, you can challenge the world government, and then satisfy your curiosity. Anil is not a rational person, and he often makes some brain-dead behaviors. But this bit of self-control is still there. No matter how stupid he is, he won't kill himself. Given that the water in Anabaston seems to be quite deep, it is better not to use the approach of Whiskey Mountain. He just wanted to record the magnetic force quietly and leave. Carter didn't know where to go for a moment. It smelled the scent of fish and couldn't wait. Milo walked towards the distant sand dunes. Anil stood there scratching his head, and found that he seemed to have nothing to do. Maybe he should have followed Carter just now, at least finding a restaurant where Carter is the best at. Chapter 126 Neferutali Titi. Just when Anil was standing there thinking about which direction to go, a pair of white arms suddenly embraced him from behind. Feeling the two soft touches behind him, and smelling the faint fragrance from the tip of his nose, Anil knew that there was a woman behind him. The wind blew, and the long blue hair fell on Anil's shoulders from the back. It's a beautiful color, like the sky without clouds. He was stunned, except that he was hugged by a maid like this when he was a baby. He has never felt this way again. But what the hell is this? How could a woman suddenly hug him? Must be the wrong person. Anil was about to speak, but heard the man behind him say, "Son, what are you doing standing here alone? Have you separated from your parents? Don't be afraid, I'll take you to find it." Huh? Anil was completely stunned. What's the situation? Anil broke free from her embrace, turned around, and said in a harsh tone, "I don't have parents." He saw the woman's face clearly. His blue hair swayed slightly in the wind, and he wore a neckband around his neck that was surrounded by numerous yellow diamond-shaped objects. A pair of big eyes revealed a melancholy atmosphere. Wearing a dress, the fabric should be high-end. Hearing Anil say that, the blue-haired woman's face became even more concerned. She touched the azure scales at the corner of Anil's eyes. "Have you been abandoned by your parents? How could there be such an excessive person? Although it is indeed a bit strange, but how could you just abandon your child just because of this?" Huh? Anil touched the scales at the corners of his eyes. He couldn't control his power perfectly, and he was a little out of control. Looking at Anil, who was a little lost, the blue-haired woman said quickly, "Hold, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to touch your sadness. Are you hungry? I'll take you to dinner." As he spoke, without waiting for Enel to answer, he took his hand and walked forward. Hey wait, Enel was not very good at dealing with this situation. In the face of strangers who have good intentions towards him, he will also return kindness when there is no conflict of interest. But the blue-haired woman was so enthusiastic that he was a little overwhelmed. The other party obviously misunderstood something. Enel wanted to explain, but she said to herself that she did not give Enel a chance to explain. At first, Enel wanted to break free from her, but later found that the breath on her body was a little strange. The feeling she gave Enel was different from that of ordinary people. This special feeling reminded him of Doflamingo. Yep, it's Doflamingo. This woman gave Enel a feeling similar to Mingo. Enel suddenly became a little interested in her and wanted to see who she was. That feeling similar to Doflamingo made him a little concerned. Lord Titi, I finally found you. Please don't run around alone, it's very dangerous. We are all worried about you. A man with curly blonde hair ran over. I'm sorry, I'll pay attention next time. Ecolem, you don't have to worry so much, don't you think I'm fine? Titi said with a smile. Really, you say that every time. What should we do in case of an accident? Please bring an escort next time. Ecolem, isn't this the curly minister of Anabaston? In other words, this is Vivi. No, not right. The time is not right. So this is Wei Wei's sister or her mother. Enel was thoughtful when he heard the name Ecolem. Lord Titi, what's the matter with this child? Ecolem noticed Enel. He's a poor child abandoned by his parents. I'm going to take him to dinner now. Titi stroked Enel's head gently. Enel showed an unhappy expression. I rely on, dare to touch my head. Kill her or kill her. Enel stared at her white chest, and he could feel a bright red heart beating inside it. This is an ability similar to the domineering, and Enel can perceive the breath of the surrounding life forms. If you are close, you can even sense the frequency of the other's heart beating. He called this ability intuition. He then dropped the idea. The other party has the blood of Tianlong people, killing it may cause trouble, he bears it. But Lord Titi, don't you go back to the escort first. Ecolem said. Don't worry, I'm just going out to play for a while, I don't need so many people to follow. You can talk about Belle's side, I'll take this kid to the restaurant first. Titi stuck out her tongue and made a face. Lord Titi, Ecolem glared at Enel. Enel shrugged, expressing that he was helpless too. But looking at Ecolem's expression, he felt a little happy inexplicably. So he grabbed Titi's hand and hid behind her, very scared. Really, Ecolem, you scared the child. Stop talking, I'm going to be angry. Titi showed an unhappy expression. Enel, who was hiding behind her, covered her mouth and snickered, showing 2 rows of white teeth looking at Ecolem. The latter's eyes twitched, wanting to say something, but seeing Titi's angry look, he finally swallowed it back. After shouting, damn, he ran away. The Kingdom of Sand, Anabaston, built a town on this desert. Even after thousands of years of history, the desert is still filled with the breath of death. This country has been shrouded in the shadow of death since its birth. Milo looked out over the town from the desolate hill. The footprints he left were buried in the sand and disappeared without a trace. The sun was hot, and the sky was gray. The wind and sand filled the air like a vast expanse of smoke. A desert is an ocean of sand. As the wind blows, the sand flows like water, forming ocean waves on the ground. Desolate and dead, as if he was the only one left in the whole world. Staring alone at this vast and empty world. Majestic, magnificent, magnificent. The ingenious workmanship of nature has long been so comparable to the scenery of the sea. Beautiful, I'm so impressed, Milo murmured. Allah, who? A group of people broke into Milo's sight from the desert in the distance. They headed straight for the town at great speed. He stared in that direction with a look of surprise on his face. As the distance got closer, he could already see the visitor. In the rolling sand, a gray ship galloped on the sand sea. The sails are bulging and the flags are flying. Milo narrowed his eyes, barely able to see a skull painted on the black flag. This is a pirate in the desert. Chapter 127 Sand Thieves Attack. Your Majesty, I have found Lord Titi. EPUB ran to Cobra and shouted. Oh, found Titi. That's great, I'm worried. Let's go. Cobra held a blue-haired baby. Yeah, the baby suddenly laughed. Princess Weiwei is really sensible. Belle smiled. Lord Weiwei will definitely become a very great princess in the future. EPUB smiled. Ano stared at the big fish in front of him in a daze. When he ordered food just now, he subconsciously ordered a plate of fish. It was only later that I remembered that Carter was not around. What's the matter? Is it unpalatable? Titi said with a smile. Her smile was very gentle, as pure and natural as an angel. No, no, it's this actually. Ano chatted with her for a long time, but couldn't find anything in common between her and Brother Ming. Ano thought it was his delusion. He didn't want to be with her anymore. Titi's enthusiasm and rich imagination made it difficult for him to deal with it. Ano was going to tell her that she was actually very good, because she was too imaginative. Boom. Suddenly an explosion sounded. The panicked shouts and the chaotic footsteps followed. Help, it's a sand thief. Run. Sand thief. Titi stood up. Titi. Ano stopped her. Where are you going? Sorry, Ano, find a place to hide yourself. Don't be afraid, it will be fine. Titi touched his head again. What about you? You might die. Ano saw that she wanted to stop the sand thieves from continuing to destroy. I am the princess of this country and my subjects are suffering, how can I just sit back and watch? I have to pass, even if there may be danger. After speaking, she ran in the direction from which the explosion sounded. Boring sense of responsibility. For the sake of inviting me to a meal, let me help you once. Ano picked up a piece of flesh and blood and chased after him. In a crisis, it's okay to take a bubble and leave a good impression. What if you see eye to eye? It would be great if something could be drawn out in a peaceful way. Ha ha ha, hand over all the treasures quickly. My dear, give up resistance. Otherwise, we will kill people. The sand thief who said this slashed over a child who was squatting in the corner and holding his head still. Hey, haven't you already killed? Enel, who saw this scene, complained. Stop, Titi shouted, rushing to the sand thieves. Huh, who are you? The sand thieves looked at Titi and asked. Please don't kill innocent people indiscriminately. Your purpose should only be property. There is no need to kill again. Titi opened her arms to stop them in front of their leader. It's all said, who are you? You look pretty if you look closely. Would you like to be my woman? I will definitely love you. Boss, she seems to be a princess. Someone next to her said. What, princess? Isn't that just right? If you tie her up, you will definitely get a lot of ransom. This watermelon tastes good. Ano feasted on the food piled by the sand thieves. Where's the kid? Let go of your hand, that's our food. The leader of the sand thieves roared. It doesn't matter, you stole it anyway. If you don't have it, just go and snatch it. There is a lot of food in this town. Do you want a piece? Hand over. That's right, thank you. The sand thief leader took the watermelon and tasted it with an expression of enjoyment on his face. It's really nice to have a piece of watermelon on a hot day. Ano patted his stomach. That's right, eating a piece of watermelon in this unbearably hot time is simply enjoy you bastard. The leader of the sand thieves threw the watermelon to the ground and roared. Hey, there's still more than half of it that you haven't eaten, what a waste of you. Ano looked at the watermelon on the ground with a pity. Hey, kid, who are you? Didn't your mother teach you that it's bad behavior to mess with other people's things? Hey, I only know if I want to grab it. If it's someone else's thing, I'll grab it, and if anyone or thing gets in the way, I'll destroy it. Knife glance. Well said, it is in line with our way of survival. If you don't offend me, you may be allowed to join us. But, it's too late. Since you dare to play this uncle, be prepared to die for it. Bar. The leader of the thieves wanted to see Anal crying and begging for mercy, but found that the latter chatted with the princess like no one else. Anal, why are you here? Didn't I tell you to find a safe place to hide? Oh, it's all right. It's fine when I don't exist. I just thought it was interesting here, so I came over to watch the fun. You guys continue. Who is that? Do you have a chair? Bring me a chair, I really can't do a small bench. All right, Anal said to a sand thief next to him, chewing on the watermelon. You bastard, don't ignore me. Talking to yourself like this won't last long, kid. The leader of the thieves raised his sword and wanted to slash Anal's neck. A chaotic sound caught his attention. What's the matter? No, boss. It's the king's bodyguard. They're coming. Damn, take that woman as a hostage. Otherwise we will be arrested. Following the order of the thief leader, his men surrounded Titi. Titi, I'm here to save you. Cobra charged ahead with a brick. Your Majesty, please stand back and leave this place to us. Bell and Gaka passed him and defeated a lot of sand thieves. King, stand back, don't be impulsive. Ekulem hugged Cobra from the back. Let go of me, Ekulem. I'm going to save Titi. I'm going to make these bastards look good. Cobra waved the brick in his hand. Don't make trouble, King. Bell and Gaka can handle those guys. Stay behind, the battlefield is too dangerous. Ekulem persuaded. Titi is in such a dangerous place, how can I be at ease? Cobra got rid of Ekulem and rushed forward. A slab of bricks knocked to the ground a sand thief who was fighting with the guards. His movements are very skilled, without the slightest rust. As smooth as the flow of water. Obviously, this is not the first time he has done such a thing. On the other side, Titi also broke out with extraordinary fighting power, picking up a wooden stick and knocking over a large piece. Anal was stunned when he saw it. The Neferutali family had all been trained. Chapter 128 Hostage. However, Titi can only be regarded as a layman after all, just a little stronger than ordinary people, and gradually lost her strength under the siege of sand thieves. One was accidentally caught. Don't move at all, or I'll shoot her to death. Sand thief put his left arm around Titi's neck, and pointed a gun at her temple with his right hand. Back off, you all back off, he said, looking at Bale and Garka. Damn it. It's so vile. Hurry up and let go of the princess. I will never spare you. Bell and Gaka didn't dare to act rashly, and they didn't have the confidence to solve the sand thief leader in an instant. If the failure causes the princess to be injured, they will be blamed for their death. Ha ha ha, I'm really lucky. If this stupid woman hadn't brought it to her door, we'd be in big trouble today. The king's guard would appear in such a remote town. It's completely beyond my expectations. The thief leader laughed. Oops, Lord Titi fell into the hands of the thieves. It's all my fault, if only I brought her back then. Ekulem cried. Wow, Wei, who was in the swaddling clothes, also burst into tears. It's not your fault. I'm also responsible for letting her run around. Cobra patted Ekulem on the shoulder and stepped forward. Please stop, don't hurt Titi, please. Cobra looked serious. The serious Cobra is still very imposing. The leader of the thieves only felt an invisible pressure coming towards his face, and his hands couldn't help shaking. Although he didn't know what the king looked like, but from his position in the opposite group and the spirit he showed, he understood his identity. King, Your Majesty the king. Yes, I'm sorry, we are also forced to do nothing. A sand thief said. It seems that Cobra still has a high prestige. Idiot, what an apology. Show me your ferocity as sand thieves. Yes, Boss Todd. Cobra was still walking in the direction of the sand thief. Lord King. It's too dangerous, please come back quickly. Bell and Gaka clenched the swords in their hands. Hey, you two quickly put down your weapons. I can't take it lightly in the face of the kingdom's famous warriors. Todd pointed his gun at Bell and Gaka. All members of the escort, lay down your weapons, Cobra said. But Gaka was a little unwilling. Damn, that's the only way to do it. Otherwise, Princess Titi will be in danger. EPUB clenched his fists. After seeing the guards put down their weapons, Todd looked at Cobra. Then we should have a good talk next, my esteemed king. Oh Tilda, it looks like something interesting happened. You say so, Carter. Milo sat on the roof and looked down. Meow Tilda. But then again, how could that fellow Enel be in that group of people? Really, why does he always like to get involved in some troublesome things? Carter gave Milo a blank look, as if you weren't watching the fun. But it is a close-up viewing, a remote viewing. Sensing that Milo and Carter were looking at him, Enel raised his head and waved to them from a distance. Say hello. If you have any conditions, put them up, as long as I can. Don't hurt Titi, and don't hurt the citizens of this country again. Cobra stared at Todd. Cobra, I'm sorry. It's because of my willfulness that I put you in such an embarrassing situation. Titi shed tears. It's okay, it's the husband's responsibility to protect his wife, isn't it? Cobra smiled at her. Cobra. Titi. Cobra. Titi. The two of them looked at each other affectionately, their eyes meeting in the air. A dazzling spark burst out. How deeply the couple is in love, how touching. The affection is strong, like two red threads intertwined. Enel angrily felt that watermelons were no longer tasty. Why don't you look at what's going on right now? You are still in the mood to abuse dogs here. And then he still can only eat watermelon. Bastards. Are you two finished? You don't take me too seriously. The gun in my hand is not a toy that can't kill. Todd yelled. Uzu. Enel nodded in agreement. It is not good behavior to abuse a dog with strength, and you will be beaten. It seems that you know that we sand thieves are not easy to talk to. Yes, just to let them know the lesson. Enel agreed. Then Todd turned his guns around, and he was going to let Cobra know that they weren't a good thing, that they had to see blood. So he aimed Enel. Todd had killed Enel long ago, and this unsightly kid dared to enjoy their spoils as if nothing had happened. Do you really think that the word thief is just a joke? However, it was just delayed by the sudden arrival of the king's guard, and now it is just used to kill the chickens and warn the monkeys. Warn those on the king's side not to act rashly. Enel was stunned. Why is it me that they show affection? Shouldn't we single dogs be united and friendly? Wait, man, you have to control yourself. Don't think about doing something impulsive. You must believe that being single is only temporary, and there must be a better life waiting for you in the future. Enel waved his hands again and again. Kid, it's too late to beg for mercy now. Don't think things that offend me can go away easily. Todd looked grim. Wait, don't hurt that kid. Titi yelled. Boom. Gunshots sounded. There was a bullet hole in the sand to the rear right of Todd. A cloud of blood poured from Todd's stomach, staining his clothes red. His right hand released the pistol, clutching his stomach, and fell forward. He turned his face away, as if trying to turn back. Hit. Enel looked at the still smoking muzzle, with a look of disbelief on his face. What's the situation? As though God possessed today. Generally speaking, he can't hit the target at a distance of 5 meters, and he can hit the target at a distance of 2 meters. The range he can really shoot accurately is 1 meter. That is, he stretched his arms hard, and the length of the gun barrel was almost able to reach. Now Todd is more than 10 meters away from him. Such a high accuracy is a bit beyond Enel's expectations. He was just trying to scare people with a shot. Milo, who was standing on the roof, calmly blew the blue smoke from his muzzle. Since the captain wants to be handsome, I, the crew member, need to cooperate occasionally. It was Enel who actually fired the bullet behind Todd's right, but Milo fired at the same time he fired. He accurately judged where Enel was aiming with his sense of sight. Milo's bullet penetrated Todd's body and got stuck in his clothes, so there was blood on Todd's front as well. Milo's gun is also specially made, with a silencer effect. The sound is very small. He was standing farther away, and since he and Enel shot at the same time, almost no one noticed. Chapter 129 Cobra. Damn, he killed the boss. Killed him. The sand thieves seemed to agree with Todd and didn't leave in a hurry. Instead, he shouted that he wanted to avenge him. Wait, grab the princess first, or we won't be able to run away. Among the sand thieves, there are still people who can see the situation clearly. So they reversed the target. Now, let's get down to Lord Td. Belle turned into a big bird, knocked over a large group of people, and rushed directly to Td. Take her to the sky. It's too bad, the princess was taken away. Damn it, even if you get caught, at least kill the kid who killed Boss Todd. Suffer to death. A sand thief charged at Enel with a knife. Enel shot him. The sand thief fell to the ground. Damn it, so accurate. Enel looked at the muzzle of the gun and fired a few more shots in disbelief. Every time the gunshots rang out, someone would fall to the ground. Enel's confidence came. Ahahaha, I really am a genius. I must have been out of shape before if I didn't hit. Today's feeling is coming. Carter, who witnessed all this, was speechless. Scum thieves, let me, the famous sharpshooter in the North Sea, teach you how to be a man. Enel is indeed a big man in the North Sea. It is indeed very famous, but as for the title of sharpshooter, it is Everyone, lay down your weapons. There's no need to fight anymore, Cobra shouted. Whether it's sand thieves or escorts. Put down your weapons. We have no reason to fight. But your majesty, these thugs who attacked the princess are extremely dangerous. They have committed unforgivable felonies, and they should all be brought to justice, Garka said. Cobra gestured for him to stop talking. Sorry, Cobra did not describe the guilt of the sand thieves, but instead apologized. Lord King, this aroused the confusion and doubts of the people around. You also said just now that you were forced to do so, right? I can understand your difficulties, and you must be unable to live because of your life's compulsion to do so. That's right. If it wasn't for Boss Todd, we'd all be dead. A 12 or 13-year-old boy who looked about the size of Milo ran out of the sand thieves. I'm from Denia. Where were you, Lord King, when my hometown suffered a drought 3 years ago? He roared. He knelt on the ground, tears in his eyes. We obviously believe so much in you. I believe you will come to save us. But you never came. The yellow sand buried Denia, and countless people died of hunger and thirst. The old people left the poor water and food for the children, and died by themselves. When they parted, they said, trust your lord the king. But you, king, never came. The only few dozen people left were walking across the desert to other oases. They were greeted with indifferent stares and ruthless words. No one helped us, and in the end I was the only one left in the whole village. My comrades, my relatives, even before they died, they still believed in the king so much. In the end, if it wasn't for Boss Todd, I would have become a bone in the desert. Bones. Brooke's image appeared in Enel's mind. Yo-hoo-hoo-hoo 45 degrees. 45 degrees is so difficult. Brooke, who was amusing himself in the Devil's Sea, suddenly sneezed. Who's thinking of me? It makes my heart skip a beat even though I don't have a heart. Looking back on it now, I kind of don't understand what kept me alive. Was it anger? Was it resentment? Was it hope that didn't exist? A lot of people here have had a similar experience as me. If not Boss Todd, we're all dead. Answer me, why didn't you come and save us? Where were you at that time? The boy shouted at Cobra. I am sorry. The Great Drought 3 years ago affected a wide area, and similar things happened all over the country. I was busy thinking about various countermeasures every day. It is my incompetence to let the people suffer like this. Really, I'm so sorry. Cobra bowed in apology. I know, surviving in this ruthless desert. It's not easy for everyone. But we must unite and not be overwhelmed by this harsh nature. It is because of this unity that this country can exist for thousands of people. Years. Not to be swallowed by the desert. Quote. I understand your pain, but because of your own pain, is it really good to pass on this disaster and misfortune to others? Isn't what you have done nothing different from the ruthless drought that you hate? They are spreading pain and hatred. I can ignore your kidnapping of Titi, but as a king, you must also be held accountable to the innocent citizens you have harmed. Quote. Lord King, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. Please let me apologize with death. Let me go and take all the guilt alone. Todd struggled to get up. Lord Todd. Your Majesty, punish me and spare Lord Todd. I beg you. Punish me. Punish me. I am willing to die in apology. A bunch of idiots, don't say anything, dead or not, just live for me. Only by living can you atone for your sins. Cobra roared, and then said in a calm tone, recently, because the weather has improved a little, we have discovered a new oasis. There is a shortage of people to develop, so I will punish you to go there to rebuild your home. Although the kingdom has a budget, I will donate all my private house money to support you. Before your life is stable, the kingdom of resources such as water, food, and building materials will be responsible for providing it. The conditions there are relatively difficult, and you must be mentally prepared. Lord King. Thank you so much. The sand thieves wept bitterly and wept with joy. What a merciful king. Ekulem wiped away tears. His Majesty the King is too kind. Garka said. It is because of this that he is worthy of our following. Let us be willing to give our allegiance to the death, right? Belle smiled faintly. That's right. Hey, have you forgotten me? Enel said aloud. Although I'm a little embarrassed to disturb you when you're so happy, but I remember that many of you said they wanted to kill me. Since we've made such a clear statement, it means that we are already enemies. Do you really think you can get over this easy thing about me? Do you really think I'm a pirate just for fun? Enel raised his head slightly and looked at them contemptuously. He has always shown no mercy to those judged to be enemies. And today, he was very lucky, and he was hit by a gun, and he still wasn't hooked. Maybe that last one is the main reason. He doesn't really care about this group of sand thieves who are not in the eyes of Enel. But who told them to be unlucky? It is rare to turn over on marksmanship. The feeling of hitting where he was pointing instead of where he was hitting made him want to stop. Chapter 130 The Sharpshooter and the Melon Eaters. You rude man, don't you understand the orders of His Excellency the King? Shouted a member of the escort. Rude, I'm not a subject of this country, and I don't need to obey your king's orders. Besides, isn't it a bit ridiculous to let the strong obey the weak? Enel slowly loaded the pistol. Who the hell are you? No matter how dumbfounded Titi was, she realized that something was wrong with Enel, and it was impossible for her to behave like a wanderer. My name is Enel, and I'm a pirate. He looked around and couldn't find a straw hat, so he took off a sand thief's hat and put it on his head. I'm the man who wants to become the Pirate King. His expression was serious, and he shouted angrily, as if that was the case. When Enel said the previous sentence, his tone was low, as if a storm was brewing, and the surrounding air froze. It wasn't enough. Later, he put on that big hat that almost covered his face, and after shouting the oath to become one piece, completely destroyed the atmosphere created in front of him. What did he say? One piece. Ha 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 ha. The sand thieves laughed. Little devil, do you know what this sentence means? If the king hadn't told us to stop, I would have cut you into 8 pieces long ago. Disdain, ridicule, the shallow eyes and narrow vision of sand thieves make them judge a person only by appearance. Ekulem pondered, and then his expression suddenly became frightened. King, back up quickly. Stay away from that person. He is Enel, the great pirate who offered a bounty of 150 million baileys in the North Sea. Gaka and Belle held the hilt of the knife and stopped between Cobra and Enel, with cold sweat dripping on their faces. Ekulem, are you sure? It's just an ordinary child. Cobra asked. Lord King, please step back. It's very dangerous here, Belle said. Gaka looked solemn. I'm afraid it's true. That terrifying aura like the sea is not fake, it's like facing a deadly beast. If you are careless, you will be in a different place. I haven't felt such a sense of crisis for a long time. Quote. What? Do you want to fight me too? Although I don't really want to do anything to you, but if you want to stop me and stand in my way, even if you have special status, I will mercilessly turn you into fans." Quote. Darkness emerged from behind him and rose into the sky, scattered around, covering half of the sky. The darkness is like a huge wave, as if to engulf everything. There is a bottomless abyss that sinks all things. What the hell is this? Bell swallowed dryly. Gakahu gave birth to a sense of powerlessness, and the small figure in front of him made him feel invincible. Enel didn't want to have any conflict with Cobra, but if he took the initiative to hinder Enel, Enel won't be constrained by this. Anyway, he is not a Tianlong person in the full sense. As long as he doesn't shoot himself, it shouldn't be a problem. In the final analysis, the strength is not enough, if you have more powerful strength. Not afraid of the power of the admiral or even the world government. Then, even a real Tianlong person standing in front of him can calmly attack. Once again he felt this, unfreedom. The sense of restraint that you can't do things casually because you are worried about something. After thinking about it, I finally decided not to fight with Cobra. What a disgusting feeling, Enel muttered to himself. Forget it, let God decide your life and death. Darkness dissipates, light dissipates. Vale and Gaka were relieved, their backs soaked with sweat. Enel took out his pistol and pointed it at Todd. To put it bluntly, Enel was a little uncomfortable not firing a few more shots. The rest are secondary, he is determined to make a few more shots while he feels good today. Bang bang bang. After a burst of gunfire, Todd stood unharmed. Ah, am I running out of gas? Enel scratched his head. On the roof, Milo and Carter are holding a piece of watermelon. Carter, the melon in the desert is so sweet. It's delicious, remember to decorate it more. Carter bit off a piece of the pulp and pointed in the direction of Enel. I mean, Enel shot again, won't you cooperate? Leave him alone, it's important to eat melon. Milo spat out a few watermelon seeds. Wow, Wei Wei burst into tears. You bastard, what did you do to Lord Vivi? Ekulem roared. Huh, Enel turned around and saw that Vivi's arm was bleeding. Don't cry, Wei Wei doesn't cry. Didi coaxed Wei Wei, doctor, hurry up and call the doctor. Missed. He scratched the back of his head, a little puzzled. Bastard, you are too outrageous, Ekulem and Cobra said sharply. Vivi is right behind Enel, and if she can go there, I have to say that Enel's level has reached an unprecedented level. Ahahaha, this is probably fate. Stop fighting, Titi, help me apologize to Vivi. Congratulations, Sand Thieves, for saving your life. By the way, Cobra, I want to ask you a little something. Enel sat on the cart used by the Sand Thieves to carry supplies. In exchange, if you answer my question, I can help you. One thing I can do. What's the matter? Cobra became serious, because Enel didn't have that cynical look at this time, and made such a promise, it is certain that what he said next must not be simple. Hey, do you know the historical text? Huh, what are you asking this for? Just a little bit interested in the truth about 800 years ago. This is something that is forbidden by the world government to pursue, and I don't know either. Oh, really? The Neferutari family, you are a descendant of one of the 20 kings, you don't even know. How did you know about this? It should be a secret. Cobra's pupils shrank for a while. I have a friend whose last name is Don Quixote. I wonder if it sounds familiar to you. Is it the Don Quixote family? Sorry, 800 years ago, what my ancestors did to this world is not recorded in the books in the palace. Well, forget it. I don't know if I don't know, I'm just on a whim anyway. I'm not bored enough to destroy the country out of curiosity. You don't have to be so nervous. Enel spread his hands. What he said is absolutely nonsense. If he is strong enough, out of curiosity, he wants to see what Pluto looks like, whether he is in Anabaston or the like. He didn't mind turning the whole Saint Tin Island upside down at all. Chapter 131 Record Pointer to the Sky. As a king, you must have a lot of things to deal with, so I won't bother you. Cobra, for the sake of getting along with Tibi, I will give you a piece of advice. Please be sure to remember. Ano picked up an apple and rubbed it twice. Never trust a pirate. Even if the pirate has a special identity. They are the scum of the sea, the villains, the makers of turmoil and chaos. Pirates are not hero. Kobo was without a doubt an excellent and wise king. His love for the country and for his people absolutely makes most monarchs ashamed. Although it is a bit funny, and usually has no majesty, but when it comes to a critical moment, he can also show the spirit of being a king. He was able to give up his throne or even his own life without hesitation for the sake of the country. After learning about Crocodile's conspiracy in the original book, even if he was facing the attack of the rebel army, he wanted to prevent the army from attacking Crocodile. Such a person, he is lovely and even more respectable. There are too many people in the pirate world that Enel admires. Even an inconspicuous little person may reflect the bright side of human nature. Enel will respect them, but will not forget his position. He put the apple in his mouth and swallowed it. For the sake of it, it is Kobo's business whether he listens or not Enel. To be clear, it's a spoiler. Predicting the future does seem quite bluffing, and it's a good idea to use it as a magic stick. But the strong people in the pirate world all have their own beliefs, and they are not so easy to fool. Self-righteous people do not live long in the sea. Knowing what may happen in the future is enough to bury it in your heart. Yelling around doesn't do you any good. Shelley in the original book just didn't have the strength to pretend to be mysterious in front of Hody Jones, and was almost beaten into a dead fish. Anal, what did he mean by the last words? Don't believe in pirates. Cobra pondered. Cobra, come and help coax Vivi. TV shouted. Yes, I'll be right here. Enel and Milo meet. Really, can't you cooperate to the end? Anal frowned. Milo was surprised. What? You already know. Of course, we don't use the same type of bullet. I saw quite a few of your bullets there when I finally left. Go and practice your technique yourself. I think so too, but this thing really depends on talent. Talent. Milo glanced at Enel, and recalled that he last shot forward, but was stunned by the shot that went behind him. He was speechless. In a sense, your talent is also amazing. 3 weeks later. The sky is clear, the sun is shining. The blue sea sparkled. Several seabirds flew over the weir. There was joy in the cry. Milo stared at the recording pointer in his hand, his eyes widened with disbelief. The pointer points diagonally upwards. The other person turned a half circle, and the pointer also rotated. The red needle still pointed diagonally to the original direction. No, Anal. Something is wrong. Ah, what's the matter? Calm down and don't make a fuss. Anal came out of the cabin, yawning. The record pointer is broken. Milo panicked. This was an indispensable and important item on their journey. Losing your way at sea is a very scary thing, especially a sea with such a harsh climate as the Great Sea Route. Don't worry, don't we have spares? Anal threw his pointer to Milo. He thought Milo had accidentally broken the record pointer. You are also broken. Ah, what nonsense are you talking about? No problem. But it points to the sky. Anal took a closer look and found that the pointer had been deflected very clearly upwards. This shows that they are close to the biggest destination of the trip. Just pointing to the sky, we are going to the empty island. Now you know why the recording pointer is spherical, right? Is there really an island in the sky? Milo was still in disbelief. Of course there is, we didn't meet one last time. Anal shrugged. You mean ski? That's different, that's his devil fruit power. The fact is that there are natural islands in the Great Sea Route. Milo, you have to remember that in this ocean, any previous experience is not useless. Wind, clouds, currents, all have the potential to deceive you. The only thing you can trust is the record pointer. Don't doubt where it points. Anal nudged his non-existent eyes with his middle finger, and he was just a piece of chalk and a blackboard away from being the perfect teacher. Maybe it's a little bit unbearable for Enel's current radiant image. Milo turned away, covering his face. Cannot bear to look. It is only in this geographical knowledge and the novelty of the sea that Anil can find a sense of superiority. So every time he brought up this topic, he was always chattering, talking like the rushing water of the Yangtze River. Milo didn't know what the Yangtze River was, but every time it came, he would always turn his head and eat canned fish with Carter in silence. What I got was Carter's white eyes and dissatisfied eyes. When Anil spoke for more than 3 hours, the surroundings gradually darkened. Why is it so dark? Milo suddenly looked up at the sky. Thick clouds blocked the sun. Everything was placed in the shadow of the cumulus cloud, as if night had fallen. Of course, the empty island, right above us. There's really someone. Although Milo couldn't feel the scene of Baibihai at a height of 10,000 meters, the 7,000-meter high Baihai was still within his coverage. There are not many people in the Baihai Sea, and most of the Air Island residents live in the Baibihai Sea at an altitude of 10,000 meters. Then how do we get up? Milo asked. I can't fly that high with you and Carter. Let's take the sea current. The thinner the air, the harder it is to fly. Anil can indeed fly to an altitude of 10,000 meters by himself, but he can't take Milo and Carter. The main reason is that Carter's weight is too conspicuous, and he has gained 200 pounds recently. The last time Ski was able to fly them up, it was because Ski didn't put his island too high. Carter's explanation for this is that it is in the developmental stage of the body, and it is normal to gain weight. Definitely not because it eats too much. Really not because of eating too much. Anil was skeptical. Ride the current, like the upside-down mountain last time? Milo asked. Anil raised his index finger and shook it. It's a little different, more exciting than that. Milo's face darkened, and he always had an ominous premonition. Seeing Anil taking out Gaia's permanent pointer, Milo's expression condensed slightly. It's really reliable. Chapter 132 Partners and Programs. The main purpose of Anil's choice of Luffy's route is the gold of Sandora. That massive wealth meant a lot to him. Not only that, but there is Beacon near Angel Island. There is a fixed point NPC there, the fixed point top fruit. There are no weaklings in the natural system, which is the consensus of almost everyone. That fruit represents an element of nature. In the first half of the Great Route, where the power of domineering is not widespread, there is almost no solution. Although some low-level natural-type fruits with insufficient lethality have an embarrassing status in the New World, they still cannot hide their advantages. The properties of the fluid allow the user to efficiently evade attacks. Development to the extreme can even permanently alter an island's natural climate. And the fruit hidden somewhere in Pika, even in the natural department, is the first-class thunder fruit. Thunder, that is the power that humans have feared since ancient times. In ancient times, they were even worshipped as gods. And the thunder fruit can also make its eaters obtain the mighty power like a god. Not to mention the direct destructive power of thunder and lightning, it is a power that can destroy almost everything. Add in some scientific developments, and it's a pretty comprehensive fruit. Thunderbolt has the speed of light. Using the electric field released by the thunder fruit, the incarnation current moves in the electric field, and it can ignore obstacles. Just this speed is a very troublesome thing for those who fight with the thunder fruit ability. Lei Gen uses lightning to break open the air, producing supersonic shock waves. After it has an indestructible spear, it also has a shield that can be effectively defended. Lightning strikes the opponent, temporarily paralyzing the opponent's body. It is a control property. Able to use Thunderbolt to perform CPR on himself when he was hit almost fatally. As an emergency treatment. The combination of radio waves and domineering colors can greatly increase the range of perception. Such a fruit that adds attack, defense, acceleration, perception, and control and blood recovery is worthy of the title of the strongest natural system. When Anil first realized that he was in the world of pirates, the first thing he thought of was this thundering fruit. Unfortunately, I was too weak, not to mention the empty island. It was a big problem whether it could safely reach the upside-down mountain from the bay high. The thunder fruit is in Pika, which is almost certain. Of course, Enil cannot let this power fall into the hands of others. Although after he ate the dragon fruit, the thunder fruit was just some evolutionary energy to him, but can make a strong partner. Originally, he considered Anilu, but according to the latter's arrogant character, if he really ate the fruit of thunder, then the two of them would hardly get along well. Unless Enel's strength can occupy an overwhelming advantage, convincing the other party after a friendly contest. This possibility is unlikely. The dragon fruit and the thunder fruit are both existences standing at the top of the devil fruit. The dragon fruit is powerful in its growth. It brings the possibility of infinite evolution to the eater, and the destructive power that the thunder fruit can exert is limited by the ability of the person's own body. But in the beginning, the dragon fruit is not as good as the thunder fruit for the improvement of strength. Enel reckoned that if Enilu were to eat the thunderbolt fruit, he would be no match for him. This is the reason why he is in a hurry to come to the great root. He was afraid that the thunder fruit would be eaten by Enilu if he arrived late. For one of his future plans, he needs a strong partner. Milo and Huang are both good candidates. Although they were not loyal, their identification with Enel's leadership was not very strong. Once Enel's strength is not enough to convince them, the team can almost be disbanded. But Enel didn't care about it either. This was the real world after all. They are pirates, and it is unrealistic to expect the crew to be loyal to the captain and even follow them to the death. What he saw was that both Milo and Akutagawa Huang paid attention to benevolence. Akutagawa loves to dress up and looks good, and her manner is elegant and her voice is soft and feminine, like a woman. Walking the Shira Kendo, bloodthirsty, neurotic, with a quirky hobby that likes to appreciate the dying of life. But this is not a problem. Akutagawa was born in Siam and believed in Bushido. Enel was kind to him, so he must have something in return. Milo is fierce, indifferent, hates the world, and has serious destructive tendencies. He draws a gun if he disagrees, but he attaches great importance to friendship. In Enel's current team, he is probably the one who cherishes the friendship the most. Relying on kindness and friendship, it is unrealistic for Huang and Milo to admit that Enel's status as captain is unrealistic. They are both arrogant people who pursue strength and believe in the strong. They cannot be subdued by strength alone. With their arrogance, they will not simply succumb to violence. On the premise of grace and righteousness, coupled with their own ability to defeat them, this allowed them to recognize the status of the captain of Enel. When Enel's strength is surpassed by them, his captain's seat is at stake. But at that point, although they would no longer obey Enel's orders, in order to repay Enel's kindness to them, it should still be possible to help a little. That's exactly what Enel was looking for. Due to the constraints of his swallowing efficiency, his pace of growth will not be too fast. For something in the future, he needs the assistance of others. Akutagawa Huang himself has a lot of talent, and in the past it was his vision that limited him. After Shiki's teaching, his strength will definitely increase by leaps and bounds. Milo's talent is all about seeing and sniping skills. Enel intends to give him the thunder fruit. Milo has been able to cover half of the island without any knowledge of cultivation. After training and the increase of the thunder fruit, the coverage will reach a very terrifying level. Coupled with the ultra-long-range attack of the thunder fruit, it is enough to make him the world's top sniper. As for why he didn't choose Anilu, that's because Enel didn't see any kind of reciprocal character in Anilu in the original book. But even so, Enel was taking a gamble. If something important in the original book still happens, the time he plans to launch will be more than a dozen years from now. He wasn't sure if Milo and Akutagawa would help him by then. This long time is enough to change a lot of things. The pattern of the world is changing, the overlords on the sea are also changing, and the most unpredictable people do not know what changes will happen. Enel is very cautious, but he also has the courage to take a big gamble. Compared with Blackbeard's betting on whether Shiryu would defect and entrusting his life to a man he knew very little about, Enel was undoubtedly much more confident. Even if Enel failed, all he had to pay was a thundering fruit. He wouldn't put all his hopes on Milo and Akutagawa, they were just his last reassurance. If lucky enough, Enel's goal can be achieved without even fighting a powerful enemy. But he always likes to keep a few more cards in his hand, and sufficient force protection is also needed. Chapter 133 Magic Valley. Oh, see, is that Gaia? Milo looked forward with the telescope. That town looks nice, like a resort. Let's play a few more days. Meow. Carter agreed with Milo. Its point of view is that resort equals hotel with lots of fish for all tastes equals lying on a deck chair and watching the school of fish eat fish leisurely. We're definitely going to be there for quite a while. We've already damaged 2 ships, and it's time for a spare. Enel shrugged. But you don't want to get killed. Huh, what do you mean? Milo was puzzled. Well, you'll know when the time comes. On the west coast of Gaia Island, there is a small town. It is the gathering place of outlaws who have lost their dreams. It was a town full of chaos, disorder, and violence, built on the wanton profligacy of countless pirates. It is the place where people sing, laugh, cry, ridicule Magic Valley Town. The pirates lost their dreams, were intoxicated with money, and indulged wantonly. Release the in the heart and satisfy the physical enjoyment. Lost the dream, and laugh at those who have the dream. The dream chasers were met with cold eyes, mercilessly ridiculed, and confused about the way forward, and finally fell under the cruel reality and became one of the fallen ones who ridiculed them in the past. Like ghosts, they wailed, and resented, but they pulled down one after another full of vitality to join them. This is the epitome of the era of the great pirates. The losers lost their dreams and became such mediocre and ridiculous people. Like withered branches and leaves, piled up on the ground and rotted into soil, blocking the upward growth of the seeds. Break through this layer of resistance and you will be able to see the sun. Ah, what's the matter? The pirate ship is parked in the port openly. Where is this place? Milo exclaimed. Magic Valley Town, a town prospered by pirates. It's very dangerous. Someone will shoot you in the back at any time. You'd better not leave, Carter. I have something to do, you can play. Anal waved, we will gather here at noon. Anal looked at the buildings on both sides. The style was not much different from what he remembered. Wooden houses and concrete buildings are mixed, the whole town is covered with brown planks, and metal railings painted with dark antirust paint along the coast to block the town from the sea. Enel tried to write down the buildings he passed, and he told Milo that he would gather in place, and he could not walk around. He can recognize the way, but in general, there is no need to waste that energy. Anyway, he can always reach the destination, just find someone to ask. If you can't do it, you walk out on your own. He is determined not to waste brain cells on things that can be solved by force. Most of the people in Mogu Town are not good people, they are basically thugs who do bad things. But under Anel's kind, friendly exchange, everyone he asked was enthusiastic and pointed the way. It didn't take long for him to make his way to the shipyard. He suddenly discovered a very serious problem: he didn't bring any money. The belongings are usually packed in Carter's backpack space. He forgot to take it. To order a boat, a deposit must be paid in advance. Of course Anel didn't turn around to look for Carter, and walked over directly. Ah, kid, you dare to come to us to make a boat without money? Are you kidding me? The owner of the shipyard is a big man with a stubble face, fierce and vicious, and a stare can definitely frighten many children. This of course does not include Enel. Don't be so fierce, Uncle Beard, I just forgot to bring the money. You first make 3 boats according to my request, and you will pay the bill when I come to pick it up. Enel said. How can we believe this kind of nonsense? Who would buy things without money? I advise you to leave obediently, otherwise I will be rude to you. Sure enough, the fist is the best use. Enel muttered, it's not enough to rely on the mouth. After the screams of killing and the roar of collapsed buildings, Enel patted the dust on his clothes and left contentedly. The owner of the shipyard finally agreed to his request. When he passed a white high-rise building, He stopped, which was the tallest building in the entire Magic Valley town. Suddenly, on a whim, he engraved a few big characters. Anil is here for a visit. Hey kid, what are you doing? The blonde man in a black suit with a cigarette in his mouth looked indifferent and looked at Anil lightly. That look, like killing countless people who are used to seeing death. Big brother, what's the matter? A sturdy, slightly fat man, also wearing a black suit and black hat, came over. There's a kid messing around on our turf. Oh Tilda, this building is yours. Anil showed 2 rows of white teeth. Bang bang bang. Anil pinched the neck of the blonde-haired man who had been beaten, pointed at the writing on the wall and said, "Listen to me, this uncle has left a name here as proof that he has been here. Not allowed. Get rid of it, and if I come back here one day and find this line missing, I'll rewrite it with your blood. Got it?" Yes yes. The blonde man burst into tears. This is the so-called disaster. Milo was very concerned about the more exciting current that Anil said, and he felt a little nervous. So I wanted to ask for information about the Sky Island. Wow, ha 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 ha. There was a burst of laughter in the bar. What are you laughing at? Did I say something ridiculous? Milo wondered. You actually said you want to go to the empty island. Laughing to death, wow, ha ha ha. Another guy who likes to dream. Ha 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 ha. Idiot kid, Sky Island doesn't exist. Ah, it doesn't exist. But Anil said that there is indeed an empty island, and the record pointer also points to the sky. Although Milo was very dissatisfied with their ridicule, asking things clearly was what he wanted to do most now. That also records that the pointer is broken. And who is that? Anil is your captain. Wow, ha ha ha. I advise you to leave that dreamer early, and see the reality clearly. It's not worth it to die in a foreign land for a fantasy that doesn't exist at all. The era of pirates seeking dreams is over. Wow, ha ha ha. The crowd laughed and laughed at Milo. Hum 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 hum. The era of pirates' dreams has passed. No, but that era doesn't exist at all. The guy who chases Roger's footsteps, hunts for treasures and adventures, really counts as a pirate. Interrupted by the intruding voice, everyone looked towards the door. A boy with blue lines on his face walked in. Chapter 134, Dark Day. Anil, why are you here? Milo asked. It's nothing, it's just a coincidence. I'm done, and the process went more smoothly than expected. It was easy to find the way. Anil held a bottle of cider. Wahaha, really a kid. No wonder there's that unrealistic fantasy. Go home and drink milk. Pirates are not your game. They saw their past selves in Milo. They used to chase their dreams like this, but they were timid, they backed off. They stood still in awe. It may be possible to reach the empty island by riding the soaring ocean current. Such a conjecture is not raised by no one. But no one dared to put it into practice. The huge vortex, the huge water column rising into the sky, will die here if you are not careful. Look, these little devils still have such beautiful dreams. They have disdain and ridicule, but in their hearts, there is also a touch of admiration and yearning. But the reality made them not dare to move forward, so they had to try their best to ridicule and convince themselves over and over again. This will soothe the restlessness of the heart. However, they misunderstood Anil, who also seemed to have no dreams in essence. He only acts because he knows the truth and has a very high degree of confidence. A group of bastards, if they are really chasing that dream in their hearts, why would they be pirates? In the beginning, those who went out to sea with those fantasies were just playing at home. What do you think of this pirate word? With a bang, Anil crushed the wine bottle in his hand. Maybe we have a slightly different definition of pirates. I have no interest in what you think a real pirate should be. Laugh at me, ridicule me, and if I'm in a good mood, I can laugh it off. However, what did you just hear? You let my hard-to-find partner leave me. Bastards, let me help you keep your mouth shut and let you know that some things are not to be said. Nonsense. Darkness emerged from behind him and then enveloped his body. The scarlet light flickered like stars twinkling in a dark night. Why didn't Luffy start with Bellamy in the original book? Does one move mean that you lose? Are you angry at being denied yourself? Blackbeard also recognized his behavior, and said that the wine became better because of it. Enel doesn't quite understand their thoughts. Maybe this is the difference between him and Luffy and Blackbeard. Although he understands, he has no intention of learning. He is him, an ordinary person who has come through. Without the arrogance of the world, without the dream of willingness to sacrifice his life, he is not a fanatical dream chaser. It's just an ordinary person who acts recklessly because he is lucky to gain power, obeys his own heart, and satisfies his own. If there is no such luck, then he may be one of these pirates and salted fish, no, maybe even worse. Without strength, he would not even have the courage to go out to sea. That's only if. Who told him to have power now? It is precisely because of this that even Enel, who has no long-term goals for the future, is persistent in gaining greater power. Weakness is a sin. Power is justice. In this era when the world government cannot maintain justice and peace, in a world full of chaos and bones, if you want to live and live better, you must have strength. Enel doesn't have Luffy's concerns, he only knows that he is not happy now, so he needs to vent. When someone mocked him, he told him to close his mouth, and when someone looked at him with disdain, he told him to close his eyes. Smash their heads with fists, slit their throats with claws, and stain the floor with blood of sin. The gunshots were loud, and the blade was unsheathed. The red light flashed like a shooting star in the night sky. The melody of death is blown, and the rhythm leading to the underworld is brought up, as if the graceful goddess of death is dancing. Screams, howls rang out. Tables and chairs fell to the ground, wine bottles shattered. Then with a loud bang, the building collapsed. There was no flames rising into the sky, but there was a long-lasting black mist hovering in the air. Turning noon into a dark night, only a dim light can see things clearly. What's wrong? What happened? Could it be that the cumulus clouds came over Gaia? But it doesn't look like it, and it hasn't reached that cycle yet. The street was in a panic, and many people were running around. Although I don't understand what this inexplicable black fog is, I can always be careful and feel at ease when I leave as soon as possible. There was a mess everywhere, and there were not a few people who ran in a hurry to fight each other, and some people took advantage of the chaos to rob. Enel didn't know when Kuruk came to Gaia Island, and he planned to go to the half house on the coast to have a look. He didn't know the direction, but he would get there by walking around the coastline. It is not so easy for Enel to ride the upwelling current. He needs to accurately predict the time and location of the current outbreak, which he obviously cannot do by himself. Having an old driver lead the way can save a lot of things. Bastard, kid, don't you look in front of you when you walk. You bumped into me. A pirate hurried past, collided with Enel. No bullshit, it was a bullet that responded to him. Milo put the gun back in the holster. Huh, what are you two doing here? I can do it all by myself. You can take advantage of your rare free time to play more. If your strength is no problem, this island is indeed a good place for vacation. Anya said. You call me a ghost like that? Milo said loudly, pointing to the chaotic town. Carter also looked at Enel with a resentful expression, and he still had a portion of fish bone soup that he hadn't finished drinking. Ahahaha, I went too far. I'm sorry, Enel said insincerely, rubbing the back of his head. Milo bit a toothpick and asked, where are we going now? Beach. By the sea. Yes, look for someone. Although I don't know if that person is there. Enel stopped, the road ahead was blocked by the crowd. Miro, what happened ahead? It seems that there was a gang fight and a lot of people died. It's human nature to watch the fun, even if Enel has not removed the darkness that filled the air, there are still many people who did not rush to escape and chose to watch. Because they found that the black smoke didn't seem to cause them any harm, so there was no initial panic. Cut tilde trouble, kill all the guys in the way. Dark acupuncture. Enel stretched his right hand forward and clenched his fist. His dark power is not strong, but it is no problem to clean up some minions. A person is engulfed by the darkness surging on the ground. They let out horrified howls and scrambled to flee the town. The two gangs of fighters also stopped and ran in unison. Chapter 135 Weird Old Man. On this day, more than 200 people died in Magic Valley Town. Most of them inexplicably evaporated. Not even a body was found. Even in such a chaotic place, death on this scale is unprecedented. The entire town was affected by the sudden black smoke and stopped functioning. Afterwards, people searched for the truth of the matter, but did not find any clues. The source of the black smoke became a mystery. Locals call this day the Day of Darkness. Because many people claim to have seen the strange black smoke, eat up people with their own eyes. Demon, this must be a demon. Those who saw smoky cannibalism said so. Enel found the office room, which was thick with dust. There are quite a few spider silks in the corners. It looks like no one has lived in it for a long time. It looks like it hasn't come yet. It's nerve-wracking now. Enel said to himself. What's the matter, Enel? Milo asked. It's okay, let's go back to Magic Valley Town. Of course Enel wouldn't tell him that he was looking for someone who would come to this island in the future. Going back so soon. He didn't understand what Enel was doing. But he didn't get into it. He's used to Enel's unruly behavior. When they walked back to Magic Valley Town, the town was empty and few people were seen. Although the darkness has long since dissipated, there are still only some bold people who dare to approach. The sun rose over the sea the next day, and a fiery red light illuminated the sky. The sea was also dyed bright red. Enel got up from the bed. They couldn't find anyone at the time, and the hotel was empty, so they randomly chose a room to sleep in. The people in the town returned one after another, and the town didn't seem to be any different. There were no monsters that suddenly appeared, and no strange black smoke. Hey, who are you? This was the innkeeper, with 3 long cat-like whiskers. It's nothing, just treat us as ordinary tenants. After Enel handed a stack of Baileys, the boss's face instantly filled with a warm smile. 3 guests, do you have any other requests? How about a breakfast? Recommend our special snacks, which taste first class. Is there a menu? Please take a look. The boss handed over the menu. Milo ordered a bowl of noodles. Carter ordered a steamed fish soup. Enel ordered a large plate with flesh and blood and asked, I want to know if there are people in this town who study the uphill current. Upstream current. Milo had a bad feeling when he heard the name. As that monster current, there is a strange old man in the east of the town, a navigator. It is said that he came to this island when he was young. After settling in Gaia, he has been studying the upstream current, and it has been more than 10 years. I think there should be no one in the world who understands the Shengchong current better than him. The hotel owner said. Thanks. After breakfast, Enel went to what the restaurant owner called the chart shop. Welcome. Just see what you want. All the charts are already here. An old man with a hunchback was drawing something on the table. He didn't lift his head, his face didn't change, as if nothing could impress him. There were only those charts left in his world. Enel looked at the chart that hung all over the wall, and it was many times more sophisticated than the average painters he had seen on the market. And the various data are accurately noted. It is clear that the people who drew these charts took great care. A surprised look appeared on Enel's face. Because he saw Dressrosa among these charts. Old man, did you draw all the charts here? Yeah, these were measured and drawn by myself when I traveled all over the world when I was young. This is my hard work, and they are like my children. Hearing Enel mentioning the chart, the old man became interested, with pride in his tone. He looked at the chart on the wall with the eyes of treasure. Are you traveling? Enel's eyes narrowed slightly. It seems that this old man is not simple, but Dressrosa is in the new world. Did you meet a hidden character? Dad, don't lie. Why can't I feel that you are treating the chart like your own child? That's right, how can you be nice to those charts? 2 strong men came out of it, both with blonde hair, almost identical in appearance. The hairstyle and clothes are exactly the same, and a rope is tied to the forehead. The difference is that one is red and the other is green. You two, if you have time to gossip here, you might as well go out to work. The family can hardly afford food. Haha, don't worry, Dad. I heard that the shipyard was attacked by vicious pirates, and the original foreman died of serious injuries. So the boss asked me to take his place, and the salary will double in the future, said the rope man. That's right, my brother's salary has doubled. And because of the black smoke yesterday, people in the town were panicking, saying that a demon had come and stopped work today. What kind of devil? It's nothing more than a powerful devil fruit. What do those shallow guys know? The real pirates are not like them. The old man mentioned the pirates in Magic Valley Town with disdain. The vicious pirates who attacked the shipyard. Demons that release black smoke. How does it sound like you are? Enel thought. The old man patted his head, as if he had just remembered that there was a guest, and said to Enel, I'll make you laugh, these are my two sons who are not good enough. The red rope is my brother Humphrey, and the green rope is my brother Bennett. Special. Uncle, have you ever seen a real pirate? Enel was a little interested in the so-called real pirate that the old man seemed to be underestimating. Ah, that's a really interesting bunch of guys. Their captain is also a really amazing guy. Totally different from those scumbags who are intimidated by the sea and have lost their dreams. By the way, they also have a very funny red nose among them. Kid. Red nose, Enel seemed to know who he was talking about. Forget it, let's not talk about this. Uncle, you have studied the upwelling current, right? What are you asking this for? The old man's eyes flickered. Of course it's to go to the Sky Island. Enel said of course. Wow, ha 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 kid, you also believe in that legend. The old man burst out laughing, aren't you awake? The empty island doesn't exist, everyone in the town said so. Recognized fact. Don't die for unrealistic fantasies. Children, you have to see the reality clearly. Banel and Humphrey laughed too. Chapter 136 Maybe you should go to the moon. Hum, it's you who didn't wake up. Old man, as a person who has even been to the New World, you don't even know if the Sky Island exists, right? Do you need me to help you wake up? Enel laughed. Enel didn't hear a hint of ridicule from the old man's words, but some praise and affirmation. He was just testing Enel's resolve. Test whether he has the determination to stick to his dream even when everyone around him rejects him. No, I'm getting old. I can't move. But how do you know I've been to the New World, kid? To hang Dressrosa's chart on the wall so openly, and to say that you have traveled it yourself. Does that make everyone else blind? Hee, the young people are really careful now. If that's the case, then I'll take you to the Great Maelstrom. The last pirate who let me take him there conquered a great waterway. I hope you don't either. Let me down. The old man's eyes suddenly shone with a light called faith. Remember, kid, my name is Armstrong, and if you do get to the island alive, put my name on it. Enel, you should probably go to the moon. Leave a few footprints there for people to look up to. What did you say? No, it's nothing. Since you've even been to the New World, haven't you been to the Sky Island? Enel was a little puzzled. I went around and I didn't have the guts to gamble. It wasn't until I got to the New World that I knew the Dream Island was real. By the time I went back to Gaia again, I had my family and I can't bear them. So I didn't challenge again. Armstrong said this with a little sigh. Then why don't you ask Roger to carve your name for you? Hearing Enel's question, Armstrong's expression froze, suddenly burst into tears, and sobbed, I forgot to say it. Enel. In order to make up for the regret at that time, I will personally send you to the Maelstrom. Dad, calm down. It's too dangerous. Yeah, just leave this kind of thing to my brother and you should just stay at home and draw charts. Bennett also hurriedly stopped him. Armstrong jumped up and gave each of them a shudder. Bastards, how can I leave my dream to the two of you? Although I can't go to the island to carve the name myself, but at least I have to contribute to this. And can you two little devils really be able to accurately bring people to the maelstrom? The timing must be very accurate, and there must be no mistakes. Can you do it? I told you to be good. Learn to sail, but you don't listen to advice. Hearing this, Humphrey bowed his head and said nothing. Bennett muttered, if we hadn't gone to work at the shipyard, the family would have run out of money for paper and pens. Humphrey quickly covered his mouth and whispered in his ear, idiot, don't talk back when Dad is angry. Otherwise, you don't know the consequences. Humphrey thought he was quiet, but because of his voice, he couldn't keep his voice down. Even Enel, who was far away from them, heard it clearly, let alone Armstrong, who was standing beside them. You two bastards, do you really think I didn't hear? Boom. Humphrey and Bennett stood upright in a row with two large bags on their heads, not daring to breathe. Two burly men with strong physique like Schwarzenegger, obediently like elementary school students who were punished by the teacher for not writing their homework. Come and find me here at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. The next time the current breaks out will be tomorrow. If you miss it, you will have to wait another week. Is 10 million Bailey enough for you to take me to the maelstrom? Enel said. No, you just need to remember to engrave my name on the rock of the empty island. How can men use money to sully their will when they deliver their dreams? Armstrong said loudly. Hey, Daddy, 10 million Baileys isn't a small amount. That's a lot of money. With that money you can buy what you've always wanted but couldn't afford, and it won't soak in water. New paper, Humphrey whispered in his ear. What? Why didn't you remind me earlier? Armstrong gave him another shudder, and he turned around to change his tune. However, they found that the store was empty, and Enel and the others had already left. Ha-tilda. A cold wind blew past, blowing a leaf. The leaves danced in the air, and Armstrong felt a chill in his heart. As cold as the moon at night. He turned to look at Humphrey and Bennett, his eyes filled with murderous intent, and there seemed to be thick black smoke behind him. The brothers hugged each other and shivered. The maelstrom, the upwelling ocean current. What the hell is going on? Milo looked at Enel with a firm look. He knew it must be a sinkhole. But even if you die, you have to be an idiot, right? Ahahaha, to sum it up simply as an incredible current. Be specific. The Enel knowledge class is back. There are many strange phenomena in the Great Sea Route. The bottom-up ocean current is one of them. The principle of the mysterious ocean current is still unclear, because no one is stupid enough to try to investigate it. But there is a theory that there is a large cavity in the sea area that is deeper than the sea floor. The nearby low-temperature seawater flows into the cavity, and the geothermal heat under the sea floor causes it to generate steam. The steam pressure is too high, causing the sea floor to explode. Then the formation of the huge water column rising into the sky, the seawater will continue to rise into the sky for about a minute. Quote. Could it be? Milo's face suddenly turned green. Carter still looked relaxed, because he didn't understand what Enel was talking about. That's right, we are going to the Sky Island by that water column that soars into the sky. Isn't it exciting to think about it? Ahahaha, Enel laughed heartlessly. Milo burst into tears, choked and said, yes, just thinking about it is exciting. I'm so moved that I can't even think of tears. Miro, you are looking forward to it, don't worry. It is difficult for us to succeed in such a difficult voyage once, and we should try a few more times. It will never live up to your expectations. Enel added. Milo. That night Milo tossed and turned, sleepless all night. In the dead of night, the insects chirped mournfully. A huge explosion is brewing at the bottom of the ocean where no one knows. Chapter 137 Go to the Maelstrom. The sky was overcast, the sun was blocked by thick clouds, and only a little light was lit in the east. Enel yawned and came to Armstrong's chart shop. He wiped his eyes, thinking he had read it wrong. Because the person standing in front of him was not the rickety old man from yesterday, but a handsome old man in a suit, with his head held high, his hair black and shiny, and full of energy. But the face was clearly the same as Armstrong. Who are you? Armstrong's brother, Enel asked. Bastard. It's me. How did you come so late, kid? Is it because you regret not wanting to go? Armstrong growled. Little brat, we've deliberately asked the boss to leave today to see you off. Don't say you want to run away. Humphrey stared at Enel badly. It's not manly to flinch. Bennett shouted. I'm sorry, I just overslept. By the way, Milo, didn't you wake up early? Why didn't you remind me earlier? Enel turned to Milo and said. Milo drank his Coke calmly, and he wished Enel had overslept. It's scary to listen to the rushing sea current or something. But that's also because Enel didn't tell him that part of the reason for going up was to help him find the devil fruit. Otherwise, even if Daoshin Huahaimila is in front of him, he will not blink. His thirst for power is no less than that of Enel. It is precisely because of the loss, the pain, the tears that I know how to cherish it even more. He didn't want to lose the things he cherished anymore, he wanted the power to protect. Even if he died for this, he had no regrets. Although now Milo doesn't know what else he has to be precious. Overslept, Armstrong's face was as black as carbon. Hurry up and set sail. In order to deal with some possible accidents, I told the time early. If I go now, I may be able to catch up with luck. Then what are you waiting for? Let's go. Arriving at the port, Humphrey glanced at Enel and said, Where's your ship? Aren't I standing on my boat now? Enel was puzzled. I mean the big ships you've always used for sailing. Wait, could it be that you've been sailing the great waterways in small boats like this all the time? Humphrey was stunned. That's it. Is there a problem? It's really messed up. It's really a shame that you can survive until now. Brother, look at that boat. Bennett whispered to Humphrey's ear. The two brothers were virtuous, whispering in a voice of 70 decibels. Ship, what's the matter? It's the same shape as the ship our shipyard is rushing to work on. Humphrey stared at Enel's boat for a while, then held his chin and thought, so, really could it be? The two brothers looked at each other with expressions of horror. What should I do? Brother, this guy is that vicious pirate, will we be in danger? This should be nothing, just send him to the maelstrom. But he hasn't paid for the 3 ships in our shipyard. If he just leaves, the operation of the shipyard will be affected, and the boss will definitely owe us wages. Quote. Wow, Bennett exclaimed. Shish, Humphrey put his index finger in front of his mouth and made a small gesture. Bennett lowered his voice, isn't that bad? This is a big problem. Shall we go and ask him for the account? Humphrey replied, do you dare? Bennett recalled the horror of the shipyard he saw that day, and quickly shook his head. Enel ignored these 2 jokes, and the activation ability enveloped the 2 ships. This is black smoke. This guy really is a devil. It's over, it's going to die. The 2 brothers hugged each other and cried. Armstrong covered his face helplessly. The 2 sons made him feel very ashamed. You two, be quiet for me. Does this look like a man? Brother, I'm going to be a man, Bennett said. Well, I want to be a man too. Humphrey nodded. Let's stop crying. Chicken. Bennett nodded like a pecking of rice. Ha 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 ha. Then the 2 laughed together, as if they wanted to use laughter to show their masculinity. However, Enel didn't feel the slightest sense of arrogance from it, but instead a tantalizing air came over him. Milo looked at the 2 with idiot-like eyes. Approaching the whirlpool, the waves suddenly became bigger. The turbulent Pengbai is like the restless sea. Hold on to the railings and don't get thrown out. Enel reminded, old man, hasn't the maelstrom arrived yet? The foreshock can already be felt, which means that we are not far from the center of the explosion. But you have to be mentally prepared. According to the size of the waves, the current that erupted this time may be relatively small, and it may not reach the empty island. If it does not succeed, go up, and you'll fall and be smashed to pieces. Armstrong's brows flashed with concern. I suggest you give up this operation and wait for the next outbreak. It's not too late to give up, and I won't look down on you for this. A real pirate should learn to judge the situation. When you reach the center of the vortex, it's too late to leave. Quote. Ahahaha, this little wave can't scare me away. No matter how small the opportunity is, I have to give it a try. In fact, Enel didn't have the confidence to go up in one go. I have been prepared several times. It wouldn't kill him for him, he could fly anyway. Just catch Carter and Milo when they fall. The loss was nothing but a small boat. How much can an ordinary boat cost? It was only 10 million Baileys if he died. This was because of Enel's picky style, which added a lot of technical difficulty. But in Armstrong's view, Enel is a crazy gambler, a madman who dares to gamble with his life to pursue his dreams. He was suddenly infected by Enel's pride, and his blood was instantly ignited. I felt that a flame was burning in my chest, and blood was rushing in my veins. Armstrong jumped from their schooner to Enel's boat. Since you are so enlightened, then I will sacrifice my life to accompany you. I will bring you to the middle of the maelstrom. He originally just wanted to take Enel to a place where he could see the vortex and leave, but now he is willing to take a bigger risk in order to increase their success rate a little. Huh, Uncle, how are you going to leave later? Enel didn't understand why the old man suddenly became excited, scratched his head, and was a little puzzled. However, he still reminded him that the other party kindly helped him, and if Armstrong was killed because of it, he would be a little sorry. Don't worry, I'm a man who has been in the New World anyway, how could I have no means at all? Just go ahead. Armstrong pointed to the front of the boat. Chapter 138 Uphill Current. Whoa, the waves crashed against the hull. The boat swayed in the waves, and Enel could feel the wind blowing across his face. It is not the wind that makes the waves, but the waves that make the wind. In this dark and low world, the two boats were so lonely, as if they would be engulfed by the waves at any time. The huge wave tilted the airflow, forcing the air in the direction it was heading. The howling of the wind, the roar of the sea. Overcast clouds cover the top, and the darkness blocks the light, as if darkness falls. As if the mythical monster was about to descend. Then, the monster really came. With his feet on the seabed and his head above the clouds, a huge shadow with wings behind it appeared in the incomparably distant distance. But under the pressure of that huge size, it seemed like it was close at hand. Carter's mouth widened in astonishment, unaware that his favorite fish had fallen to the ground. There was a hint of fear in the cat's eyes. It was really frightened. No matter who it was difficult to keep calm in front of such a huge creature. Milo stared in that direction, shocked. The monster clenched its fist and made a gesture of wanting to attack. It's over. Don't panic, sit down and drink a Coke to suppress the panic. Enel handed a Coke. Milo took the Coke. Well, it tastes really good. Is this the time to say this? That damn thing is about to call. It's just a projection, just like in the sunset, your shadow also looks very long, not as short as you. The same reason. Oh Tilda, you mean it's just a shadow? Milo clenched his right fist on the palm of his left, and then said sharply, who did you just say is short? Carter sat down and naturally took out a bottle of a special fish soup-flavored drink, which was to be overwhelmed. Before it could finish pressing, a huge vortex appeared in front of them. This must also be a projection or something. M.I. smiled. Don't worry, this time it's real. The big current you've been waiting for is coming soon. Enel patted his shoulder. PFF'd, Carter and Milichichi spit out their drinks. Hey, Enel, are we really going to go in there? Milo grabbed him by the collar. Meow YC, I'm afraid. Carter hugged Enel's thigh. Take some energy and move forward. Enel pointed to the vortex. When they were about to be sucked in, the vortex disappeared, as suddenly as it had appeared before. Okay, I'll send you here, it's time to go back. Goodbye. Armstrong jumped out of the boat, and then performed a light feat for Enel, iron on the water. Sure enough, there will be hidden masters in the simple shop. Enel nodded solemnly, and then clasped his fists and said, Senior well. Ah, what are you talking about? Milo didn't understand what Enel was playing. Armstrong ran all the way back to their boat, then clutched his waist and said, It hurts oops, my waist is flashing, give me a hand. Humphrey said, Dad, they told you not to mess around like that. HMPH, it's romantic for a man to entrust his dream. How can it be a mess? I believe that kid can make it. What's the deal with these two packages? Armstrong asked. Humphrey opened it and saw that it was full of money. Also comes with a note. It's money, it's all money, said Bennett. Did that kid leave it to us? That's very smart. Brother, what did you say on the note? He saw Humphrey staring closely at the note, so he asked curiously. The latter replied calmly, I don't know how to read. Idiot. Armstrong patted him on the head and took the note. It reads, half the money in the package is for the old man to buy drawing equipment, and the other half is for the shipyard to use as the cost of building the ship Anal. Ah, superfluous brat. Boom. With a loud noise, the water column rose into the sky. What followed was the screams of Enel and the others. Their poor little boat fell apart before even the first shock. It can be seen how tough and tenacious Luffy and their melee are, and they are still abruptly carried to the water capital after so many hardships. Damn it, their ship is falling apart, cried Bennett, holding his head. Is that the end? Is the man with the 150 million Bailey bounty really that's all? Armstrong muttered to himself. The water column flew straight into the sky, and then turned into a large cloud of water splashing down. It was as if it was raining heavily, and each drop was the size of a warship. Armstrong controlled the boat to escape the falling water droplets in a thrilling way, avoiding the tragedy of the boat's destruction. Look around here, that kid likes me. Try to save him if you can, Armstrong called to his son. What a risk. Anal wiped the water droplets from his face. Milo and Carter were in shock, looking like they were about to collapse. Bungee jumping with a broken rope is not a good feeling. Hey why are you here? Humphrey looked at Enel who was standing behind him, his eyes were about to pop out. Ahahaha failed, try again next time. Enel smiled. In the North Sea, a dog-headed warship is heading in the direction of Upside Down Mountain. Garp stood on the deck nibbling on donuts. Counting while eating, 1572. Lieutenant General Carp, I have your phone. Carp took the phone bug from the correspondent's hand. Cap, how's the mission going? A low, serious voice came from the phone bug. Ha ha ha, the Newgate guy has returned to the New World obediently. But that kid Doflamingo is so slippery that he doesn't even see a shadow. Sengoku, speaking of this, I asked you to pay attention. What happened to that pirate? Sengoku replied. Did you mean, Black Coffin, Anal? He caused a lot of disturbances in Whiskey Mountain and the Kingdom of Anabaston. Not long ago, he received information from him, and he made a big deal in Gaia. News. He is a very cunning and vicious guy. He should still be staying on Gaia Island now, and it seems that he wants to take the uphill current to the empty island. I see. Cap, wait, what are you doing? Come back quickly, the New World is in turmoil again. We are short of staff. Stop messing around, Sengoku roared. Wait for the old man to clean up that kid and go to the New World, and quickly send someone to give me the permanent pointer of Gaia. Carp hung up the phone directly. Little devil, I won't let you escape this time. Garp looked in the direction of the Great Root. I promised that girl that I would definitely bring you to justice. The girl who was dying of burns all over her body was helplessly moaning and crying, her eyes blank and dazed. How could Carp pretend he didn't see it? In order to give her a hope of living, in order to give her an explanation for the justice in her heart, Cap set her sights on Enel. Chapter 139 Let's Make Balloons. Under the dark clouds, on the sea. A pink cat floats quietly on the water. Dividend light shines like a beacon. It has special air sacs in its body that can freely adjust the overall density of its body, and with its huge size, it can float on the water effortlessly with both Milo and Enel. Who tilde? Enel sat on Carter's back, panting heavily. They have failed 3 times. Their original boats plus the ones made in Gaia, totaling 4 boats, have all been sacrificed in this attempt. One boat was smashed into pieces by the whirlpool without even seeing the UP going current. Flying higher this time, taking Milo and Carter down safely was exhausting him. Cat, are you gaining weight again? Enel patted Carter on the head. Meow, I only gained 100 pounds. Carter did not shy away. Milo was sipping Coke leisurely behind him. He has been able to sit on the ocean current without changing his face. Anyway, there is a safety belt like Enel, so what are you afraid of? At this time, Enel deeply understood how important a good navigator is. Thinking about whether to go to the East China Sea and kidnap Nami. But after thinking about the time, she didn't know whether she was born or not at this time, and it was impossible for Enel to remember all the little details of the pirate comics. Even if it is born, it is estimated that it is a baby, and it is useless. You guys aren't dead yet. Armstrong looked at Enel with half-hearted eyes, as if he was sorry that he wasn't dead yet. Ahahaha, don't be so ruthless, old man, we've been together for so long. Enel laughed. If this kind of thing happens a few more times, maybe you won't die, and I'll go to the coffin. Armstrong was very helpless. He really couldn't stand the toss with an old bone. Don't worry, this is the last time. There is not only one way to go to the Sky Island. I decided to use another method. Enel said. He flew to Armstrong's boat with Milo's back and said to Carter, Cat, please go and catch 2 large sea beasts. Meow, do you want to eat? Carter asked. Don't think of me as a foodie like you. Enel was in a hurry. Carter could have something to do with food no matter what. It's not for eating. Carter was very puzzled. It wasn't for the purpose of eating Enel and catching sea beasts. I have serious business to do. Carter didn't ask any further questions, and fell headlong into the water. With a pop, it disappeared from everyone's sight. How do you want to go up? Is there any other way to go to the empty island besides surging the ocean current? Armstrong asked. Yes, there are other sea routes. Except for the dangerous route of life and death, the other routes are not safe routes. But I don't know the specific situation. I want to use another method. I'm not sure if it will be successful. I can only say that I leave everything to fate. Ahahaha. What a rambunctious man. Armstrong smiled. In the pirate world, no one cares about the age of others. As long as you can show the courage to make others look at you, even if you are a young boy, you can be called a real man. Enel has always considered himself to be a timid and weak-willed ordinary person, but he was lucky enough to gain power and act recklessly. But what he didn't notice was that when he was destroying and indulging himself, his aura was gradually growing. The self-confidence brought about by that kind of power is also increasing day by day as his strength increases. In the eyes of ordinary people, Enel is powerful, and his behavior is chaotic. Because of his strength, his wild and informal style is the embodiment of courage, a symbol of strength, and incomparable confidence and pride. This understanding is also correct. Enel's actions are all based on his own strength. It is because he is sure that he is doing fine that he will act. In fact, he never really messed around. Doing things beyond your own strength to do things far beyond your own strength is the real chaos. And Niels, chaos, is to judge his behavior according to the eyes of ordinary people. The strength of the two sides is no longer at the same level, and the results obtained are of course different. Just like Pluto, Rayleigh swimming through the windless belt seems to be a very messy thing in the eyes of ordinary people, but in his eyes, it is just a very ordinary little thing. Enel is also gradually gaining the appearance of a so-called strong man. Enel smiled and asked, Old man, do you know anyone in Magic Valley Town who can make balloons? Enel suddenly remembered that in the title page cartoon, Dr. Tsukimami was frightened by the explosion of the moon while viewing the moon. After being choked to death by Dango, Lieutenant Spacey and other robots flew to the moon in a balloon to avenge him. Don't underestimate the balloons in the world of pirates. Holding a balloon twice as big as your body, flying to the moon is not a delusion. If you want to go to the Sky Island by balloon, it should be feasible. Although the empty island is far away, the difficulty factor is much smaller than going to the moon. After 2 hours of waiting, Carter came out. Meow, Wei Shi, I didn't find the sea beast, so I caught this. A behemoth emerged behind Carter, a yellow sea king. Looking at the appearance, it seems to be the one that Luffy and the others encountered in the original book, which was caught in the vortex and then thrown into the sky by the upwelling current. Although it is only a small sea king, its size is not comparable to that of ordinary sea beasts. Anil was a little surprised. He always knew that Carter was strong, but he was just a little timid, but he didn't know how strong he was. This time the prey refreshed his cognition. 3 days later, Anil and Carter went to the shipyard to pick up their new ship. It was recustomized by him at the shipyard after many failed rides on the UP-going current. The attitude of the shipyard owner was completely different from last time, with a respectful and flattering smile on his face. First, because of Anil's fierce reputation, he has done a lot of things during this time. Second, Anil gave money easily, bringing a lot of benefits to the shipyard. As for the foreman and security guard who died in his hands on the first day, who would remember? Just a bunch of dead people. The balloons that Enel needed were also made that day. Humphrey and Bennett did it for him. They were not very good at doing it. The stitches were obvious, but they were very strong. Some of the joints were sewn with an unknown number of stitches. If you don't look closely, those blue needles and threads are like a complete piece of cloth. It can be seen that they are serious about Enel's safety. Although rough, the heart in it has not diminished in the slightest. Chapter 140 Fly to the Sky. Humphrey and Bennett had bloodshot eyes. Because I overheard Enel complaining that if he stayed in Gaia for a while longer, the Navy might come to trouble him, so they made it overnight. Enel is relatively cold-blooded and a little ruthless, but the most basic morality is still there. He attaches great importance to grace. The other party did his best for him, how could he not feel a touch of emotion? Humphrey, Bennett, this is my phone number, call me if you have any trouble. Enel doesn't have much power, but he can go to Brother Ming and influence faraway places through Brother Ming. Although it is not too difficult to do, it is still very convenient to solve some small troubles. Enel grabbed a stone, carved his number on it, and threw it at them. Oh, thanks. Humphrey turned the stone. Enel, what do you think we should draw on it? Maybe a cat, said Bennett, pointing to the balloon. Of course it's a drawing of a dog, and a dog is more handsome, said Humphrey. You don't need to draw anything, it's good this way. You guys should rest early, you've worked hard for the past 3 days. Enel spread his hands indifferently. No, for Grandpa's dream, for friendship between men, what a trifle. Are we friends, Enel? But brother, I'm so tired. My stupid brother, men can't say they are tired at this time, we are men, show your perseverance. Yes, brother, we are men. Ha 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 ha, the two of them laughed loudly. Although still very stupid, but somehow I think these two goods are a bit cute. Enel smiled faintly, well, we are friends. Emperor Cloud is just north of Gaia, and it looks like a dark area from a distance, like an area that is detested by light. Enel tied himself, Milo, and Carter to the balloon with rope. As the balloon gradually inflated, they floated into the sky. Enel, good wind. Humphrey cut the string that connected the balloon to the stone pillar of the house. Let's go by. Enel waved down. Don't forget to help me carve my name into the stone of the island. Armstrong shouted. Don't worry, you won't forget it, old man. Also thanks to Enel's destination is Angel Island, where there is a small half of the island washed up by the current EPUB. Otherwise, it is really not possible to find such things as stones on the empty island. The balloon lifts slowly. Aim uses the gravitational ball to control the balloon to the Cumulus Emperor. Milo calmly overlooked the sea with Coke, chatted and laughed with Carter, and laughed a few times from time to time. The devil knows how he and Carter communicated. Obviously there is no language or gesture. Carter has cat food in his mouth the whole time. This is its new snack. It is said to be made from a mixture of various minced fish meat, and it has a delicious taste and a first-class taste. Ah, why is it so cold? Milo shivered. The higher you go, the colder it gets. It is said that for every kilometer you rise, the temperature drops by 6 degrees Celsius, Enel said. The last time the mountain was upside down was because of the huge ocean currents coming from below, so the temperature was relatively stable. They had a chat, but they chatted. Miro, take a deep breath, we're going through the cumulus clouds, Enel reminded. The balloon was a little slow to lift off, and he was afraid Milo would suffocate. As for Enel and Carter, both have the ability to breathe in the sea, and there are fish living in the baybaihi, so breathing with their gills is not a problem. Enel, why don't you give the balloon an upward gravitational pull to make it rise faster, Milo said. Enel thought about it, although the balloon can't be under too much pressure, but it should be able to control the strength. There was a vast expanse of white in front of him, as if he was in a thick fog. Feeling the wetness of her cheeks, Enel was a little confused as to whether to regard the baybaihi as a sea or a cloud. He was completely powerless, as if drowning in seawater. The gravitational ball also dissipated naturally. The upward speed suddenly slowed down. Milo blushed and held his breath. The light faded little by little, the air in his chest was exhausted little by little, and Milo's consciousness was blurred. It was like a drowning man watching the sun shine through the water, but he kept sinking into the abyss, getting darker and darker, and he was about to fall into a coma. I don't know how long it took, and finally, the feeling of suffocation receded, and fresh air finally poured into my chest again. Ha 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 ha, he gasped. I thought I was going to die. Enel, how did you do it? Milo asked, turning his head. Sorry, I can't help it either. I'm completely powerless in the White Sea. It doesn't matter, aren't you still alive? Ahahaha, Enel felt a little strange, he should have prepared an oxygen cylinder for Milo. Milo said in his heart that I only complained because I was still alive. Do I really have to wait until I'm dead to complain? Ah, what about the empty island? Where? Milo glanced around, but saw nothing resembling an island. Miro, it's not time to relax yet. This is just the White Sea at a height of 7,000 meters. We have to pass through the White Sea at a height of 10,000 meters before we can see the empty island. Milo's face froze. It's almost there. Enel looked at the top of his head and said. Milo took another deep breath, holding his breath, as if he was about to face some kind of disaster. Because of the thin air, he couldn't breathe well. Before long, the feeling of suffocation flooded his brain again. This time he held his breath for a shorter time than before. Seeing Milo struggling, Carter suddenly thought of something and took out an oxygen bottle from the space. Bastard, you bastard, you did it on purpose. Why didn't you bring something like this out sooner? You stupid cat. In order to cope with that situation, Enel had already bought Milo a portable oxygen tank. But Carter forgot to give it to Milo. Carter scratched his head with his cat's paw, and said apologetically, with an empty fish he had just caught in his mouth. The delicious flesh has taken over its brain, and nothing else can shake it. Miro, look there, Enel pointed to the side. Huh, looking in the direction of Enel's finger, it was an island. White, 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 the pure white color occupied Milo's line of sight, as if in a dream. That is really a beautiful scenery that can only appear in a dream. The empty island floats above the sea of clouds and is completely composed of snow-white clouds. Even the buildings above are as white as snow. The sky was blue with no clouds. Of course, this place itself is already above the clouds. The sun is shining brightly. This is the world 10,000 meters above the sky. Kingdom of God, Cloud World.